And we're rolling.
Hi, you guys.
We go.
Hi, you guys.
Hi.
And what? I can't say anything more than hi, you guys, in that voice. But welcome to another episode of First Timers Movie Club.
Yeah, I'm Patrick Poe, and I'm joined here with Goofy, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Or also known as the talented, lovely, wonderful Lolo Loren.
Yes. Yes. Who's actually very bad at voices, but,
I liked it. I'm pretty
thank
proud of
you.
you for trying it.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
And this wonderful day,
Yes.
we're also joined by everyone's favorite First Timers Movie Club guest.
Yes. This is her third time on the podcast.
Yeah, second time for the open audience.
Yes, third time if you've listened to our exclusive episodes on our Patreon page.
If you're a cool kid, you've heard her twice. If you're not, you've only heard her the one time.
Yeah.
Everyone's favorite guest, because she's the only one so far.
Yeah.
It's Amber Joy.
Hi! And also, I'd just like to say, I thought your voice was lovely, Lolo. I thought that was a lovely voice.
Thank you, Amber.
You're welcome.
That's a different character, but I like it too.
I never claimed consistency.
That's fine. I'm okay with that.
Put that on a t-shirt.
I can do varying inconsistent forms of squeaky whenever desired.
I mean, Goofy wasn't squeaky. He was dopey.
Oh, yeah.
That's a different Disney character.
Oh.
I don't know why we're doing voices today.
I don't either. No, this is First Timers Movie Club. We didn't say at the beginning, got really distracted by voices and Amber, where we watch or show each other movies someone has never seen before.
Yes.
And
it's
then,
a filmmaker podcast.
It
where
is.
Filmmakers watch and show each other movies that they've never seen before.
Yes, we are filmmakers, not just people. Sorry.
Yeah, we're not just randos off the street.
Of course not.
We've got experience. We do this all the time. We write movies. We love movies. We
do.
We live, die, and breathe movies.
We do.
And Amber is she's a kindred spirit in that.
She also is a movies. Oh wait, no, a filmmaker.
I am a movie.
You are a movie. Amber is a movie.
She is of movies.
I love movies.
Amber of the movies, Joy.
I like it. I like
do.
it.
That's good.
Yeah.
I think this would be a great time to remind our listeners to like, subscribe, rate, review.
Yes, please do.
Any of those things. If you're on the YouTube, click that subscribe button and then click over to another one of our wonderful sketches we've made after you finish listening to this episode.
One of the films we make that makes us filmmakers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you're on Apple Podcasts, write us a review.
Yeah.
If you're on Spotify, just thanks for being subscribed to us because they don't have anything like that.
Yeah.
Or whatever podcast platform you're on.
Do the things appropriate to your platform.
Exactly. Or if you're on Patreon, you can write us a little message even.
Yeah.
And
we'll read it.
Yeah, we will. We'd love to hear always your thoughts on that movie.
Yeah.
And what you feel about the movies that we watch.
Yeah.
So thank you for listening.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. What we really need to talk about is we are Kansas City local people.
We are Kansas City local. Well, filmmakers. You just said we aren't people.
Well, you're right. But we're also podcasters.
We are.
And right now the Pitch is doing its contest for Best of KC.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you think we're the best local podcast, I would love it if you went and nominated First Timers Movie Club.
That would be incredible. I'd be very happy.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if you're already there and you think that we're good filmmakers too, you can nominate us under Filmmakers Artistic. Type in that IX Film Productions.
Yeah.
We'd love that too.
You know, if you wanna, just as a fun little treat.
We like being told we're great,
Yeah, but I mean, I think we're the best podcast in Kansas City. And if not, I'll start a turf war.
Cool. Let's fight.
I've got no problem. Yeah, let's do this.
Let's fight all our friends who also have podcasts.
Heck yes. Oh, true. I've got some friends that do have some really great podcasts.
Yeah.
But it might be fun to just have a playful little war, you know, just with our
Just
plastic
Anchorman style,
lightsabers.
just real
Anchorman.
harmless.
No touching the hair. Remember, that's the main rule.
Or face.
Or face, yeah. Just anywhere.
Brick killed a guy with a trident.
Do we have any housekeeping from our last episode we need to go over? Did we mess anything up or were we flawless humans?
We were flawless in the Napoleon Dynamite episode.
Wow.
There's no incorrect information.
Oh, so we really are the best podcast.
Yeah.
You just proved it
You
so
should
flawless.
Nominate us.
Exactly. I mean, if we want to update them on what we've been working on, we can.
Yeah.
If you care to tell them that we filmed another sketch since we've talked to him last.
We did.
Hopefully that'll be coming out soon. We filmed half a sketch, really.
Yeah. We've been doing a lot of work. Hopefully there will be a lot dropping soon to show for it.
Yeah. I also just drove to Wichita over the weekend.
You did.
In my super warm car.
Yeah. No
Yeah.
AC in Kansas.
Yeah. if you know me, you've heard me complain. I've taken it back and forth 7 times, and it still doesn't have AC.
Yeah.
But I went to Wichita, and I had a great time filming with Illumination Cinema.
Yes.
It was really fun. First day on set.
Nice.
And we're going to do a bunch more in the fall.
That's really fun.
Hush, hush. They haven't really talked about it much.
Oh, well.
They posted a photo on Insta. So that's as much as I can tell you.
There's a photo.
There's
you
a
in the photo.
I'm in it.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool.
And they say that there's a project
Oh, cool.
that I'm in.
Okay, cool.
I was about to say, are you in the photo? Because maybe you're not even allowed to say if you weren't in the photo.
I'm in the photo.
Okay, you're in the photo.
Did you just spoil?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'll check before I edit this.
I mean, if we did, we did.
Yeah, exactly. Exclusive.
Well.
That's why you have to listen to first timers for exclusives like that.
Like the Entertainment Weekly of podcasts, I guess.
Did you say entertainment?
I did, yeah.
That's a whole different magazine.
That's a different magazine.
Okay, let's just move on from that.
Amber's head's in a certain spot tonight.
Yeah, apparently.
Luckily, tonight's movie,
Yes.
you'll get to see a man in tights all night long.
Great.
Because tonight, we're watching the 1978
Dun dun dun.
Superman.
Woo.
Which,
I've never seen.
and I have.
And I have.
Which I actually realized that I have never seen a single movie with Superman in it. Even though I like a lot of superhero movies.
So not a single movie with Superman in it, though?
No.
You didn't even watch Justice League?
No.
You didn't watch Batman versus Superman?
Nope.
I understand that, obviously you haven't seen Man of Steel.
Yeah.
You've seen none of these.
Yeah. You did find the
Okay.
perfect person to show this movie to.
Have you taken in, any Superman content?
So I've read some comic books
With Superman?
With Superman.
What, but there weren't
were they
Superman books?
or were they
No,
Justice-
they were Wonder Woman.
Oh, okay. So if he pops up in Wonder Woman, that's been your only
Yes.
experience of Superman.
I mean, I know a lot about the character just because I live in society, and he's a pretty popular character. So
So you've heard of him.
I've heard of the guy.
But you haven't experienced him, because when I showed Patrick his first Elvis Presley movie, he thought he had a perception of Elvis from pop culture and social media.
yeah.
But that Elvis is not the Elvis that you and I both grow up loving.
Yes.
Is not the caricature. So do you really think you know?
Do I really think
you know the
do I
real
really
Superman?
know the real Superman? I mean, I don't know. I'm very curious to see that and see, because I think I know a lot about it, and backstory and kryptonite and Clark Kent, but maybe I'll go in there and be like, oh.
What's your perception? What are your thoughts on how do you feel about Superman?
I don't really feel much of any. He wasn't.
Superman apathetic.
I think he's a fine character. I don't dislike him or anything like that. He wasn't a character that ever. This isn't a sentence. I'm gonna start that again. I never connected with him whenever I saw him around. He wasn't a superhero that I was drawn to read more about him or watch stuff with him. But it wasn't because I disliked him. It was just I never really felt drawn to that.
You're just oh, that's a guy with a bunch of muscles in tights.
Yeah.
He seems nice.
Yeah, he seems like a fine man.
Seems like a swell gent.
Yeah, and he was fun when he was in the Wonder Woman comics.
Yeah, when they were dating.
When they were dating,
That was cute.
I was a fan of that.
She shipped it.
I did. I shipped it.
Me
so,
too.
Which, I mean, it says a lot if I think a man is good enough for Wonder Woman. So I guess I do think pretty highly of him.
True. You must like him a lot because Wonder Woman's your lady.
Yeah, that is true.
That's your woman.
That is my woman. So I guess actually I feel very strongly about Superman.
I'm very pro Superman.
Very pro Superman. Didn't realize.
I mean, obviously you're going to encounter all sorts of regular perception of people being oh, the Superman Clark Kent thing is dumb, or you're going to be Superman's a dumb character, because there's a lot of, I feel modern people with their generalization ideas of Superman about how he's boring or he's dumb or it doesn't make sense, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you have all that in your head?
I have heard people say all of that, but it is funny because one of the main things that people make fun of the whole disguise with Clark Kent being that's so dumb, how do they not recognize him? never bothered me, and I never really got that, because I was like, no, you're not going to expect the guy you work with is Superman. Like, I never really got that complaint.
Okay.
And like, I never disliked him. I thought he was an interesting character. I never really had any of that about him. I'm aware of it,
Yeah.
but I never had any of that about him.
Because, like, as a comic book nerd myself, like, I've definitely gone through times where I'm like, yeah, I'm just kind of bored of Superman. But, like, honestly, he is, like, an interesting character. And I feel like he gets written off a lot.
Yeah.
But I think that's interesting that you haven't written him off just because, like, that's what pop culture has currently done to him, I think.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I find that very interesting.
Yeah. I mean, and, like, even though I haven't read any of the comics super focusing on him and stuff, I mean, I still think he's an interesting character, like you were saying, and some of the things I know about him, like feeling like an outcast and stuff on Earth and all of that, and literally not being from here, I think that's relatable, you know, and all of that. So yeah, I actually never found him to be a boring character, even though I don't know that much about
So you've
him.
never written off Superman?
No.
Interesting. You just haven't had a reason to, like, Man of Steel didn't intrigue you?
Not really.
You were a little young, weren't you, when it came
When
out?
it first came out, I think she would have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when did that one come out?
I mean, we were still dating, me and you, Lolo. So 2011, 2012 probably is a
Okay.
guess.
Probably.
I don't have a device near me.
Yeah, I can tell you.
No, I mean, I know some of it was... So, like, I'm a huge fan of the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
And I follow those very, very closely, actually. And then I saw a couple DC movies that weren't Superman, and I wasn't a huge fan of them. And so I kind of just never... And I didn't hear a lot of great reviews about, like...
I mean, of current DC, you've just seen Wonder Woman.
And Birds of Prey.
That doesn't
Does it not?
count, really. The Suicide Squad and Birds of Prey movies are kind of not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know as much about that. I don't know as much about that world as Marvel, so...
Yeah. DC hasn't, like, done as good of a job creating, like, a cinematic universe.
Okay.
They've just had the handful that went together.
I guess then the two Wonder Womans and Aquaman.
Oh, you've seen Aquaman?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I wasn't really into the DC films, and then I didn't hear a lot of good things from my friends
You
about
also
a lot of
haven't
them.
seen Shazam, though?
Oh, no, I did see Shazam.
So you really just avoided the Superman movie. Anything with
guess
Superman. You've
so.
seen everything that does not have
Well,
Superman
I remember
in it.
when the Batman versus Superman movie was coming out, and I saw the trailers for it, and I'll be honest, I was like, I'm not into the whole, like, the two superheroes
Yeah.
fighting. Like, I didn't like Marvel's Civil War either. I didn't like that one, and that was coming out around the same time, and I was just kind of sick of that premise. But I was already a part of the Marvel world, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to Civil War. I'm not going to Batman versus Superman. And so then I already wasn't into all of that, and then I didn't really keep up with it with Justice League or anything. It didn't look that interesting to me. And I had a lot of friends that weren't really into it and didn't think it was that great. So then I was like, okay, I'm not going to go to that. And then a lot of the older Superman movies, though, I thought about seeing multiple times. And then it was just, I didn't have them, or it just wouldn't come to my head as something to go watch. Or for whatever reason, it was just never something at the front of my brain of like, oh, I should go watch those movies.
Yeah.
Which I guess is a good thing now.
Yeah, I'm so glad to show it to you.
Because we can do this. And it's actually kind of funny because my mom has talked about this Superman film multiple times because she actually really liked it. And I was like, oh, yeah, I should watch that movie.
Yeah, she
one
loves
day.
Christopher Reeves.
Yeah.
Well, I was talking to her today. She saw it in theaters when she was a teenager, and I'm
Yeah.
so fucking jealous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if I could go back in time, it would just be me going back and buying comic books I can't anymore, and seeing movies in theaters I can't
she
anymore.
saw this and Star
And
Wars.
Star
in
Wars.
theaters.
I
Yeah,
know.
Doesn't get better than that, man.
For
Yeah.
real. She lived the life.
She did.
Anything else you want to share your relationship with Superman and your ideas?
Well, I will share this. So the first time I ever really heard like a reference to Superman or a Superman movie was when I was 5, and it was actually on this BBC sitcom, The Vicar of Dibley, and one of the characters messes up, and the other character's suggestion of how to fix it is, why don't you do like Superman and spin around the world so fast you go back in time?
Oh.
And I heard that reference and I didn't know where it was from or what they were talking about. I was like, what is this? But then I just carried on because it's a funny show and there were other jokes to think about. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
Have you learned what that's from yet?
I don't know if it's going to be this one or what. So I don't know.
Okay. Okay. Wow. Wow. So much. So many thoughts. I'm so glad. So a big reason we're doing this episode today
Yeah.
is because of the tragic death of Richard Donner,
Yes.
or Dick Donner as his friends called him.
Yep. Good old
And
Dick.
so I'm going to call him Dick Donner because I want to be his friend.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to pretend we were friends. So starting now, Dick Donner.
Cool.
He just passed away in the last week, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I love Dick Donner and his
Yeah.
films,
He's incredible.
and was immediately like, oh my God, we need to talk about how great he is on this podcast. That's what needs to happen. So immediately I was like, oh my gosh, we could do Goonies. Lolo's seen like half of the movie. Amber probably hasn't seen it. We could do like a special with Amber and do the whole Goonies, all three of us.
Yeah.
Like we could maybe show Amber Lethal Weapon, because like that would be a movie she hasn't
Which
seen.
those are
but like,
some of my favorite movies.
but like I don't know if like that's
Just
really
all of them.
a movie that like Amber's gonna love.
Yeah.
And then we were on the phone with Amber, and I was like, I mean, we could do Superman if we could find someone that hasn't seen it. And Amber just goes, I haven't. And I was floored.
It was funny because I was talking to Patrick, or I thought I was talking to just Patrick, but something you should know is when you think you're talking to just one of them, the other one is there just in the
Yeah.
background, because I thought I was talking to just Patrick. And then, yeah, you said it so just like, ugh, like if only someone existed that hadn't seen a Superman movie. And I'm just like, I haven't. And Patrick goes silent, and in the background, Lola Slee goes, what? Just like she's never met me, and I'm like, hello, I'm your sister. This is and yeah, both of you were just losing it, and you were like, no, like Superman. I was
Like, do you know who
saying it.
Superman is? Are we talking about the same Superman?
You're like, Clark Kent, come on.
Yeah, we were like trying to like describe it to her as if she's like gonna remember, like, oh, that's what Superman is.
Oh, the big S. Oh, right.
I'm still shocked.
Yeah.
I'm still shook.
Yes, but so we found someone
Who hasn't
who
seen
hasn't
Superman?
seen Dick Donner's Superman.
Oh, you're friends with him too?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. You know Dick?
He's the best.
Dick's the best. I
He's the
love
best
Dick.
person.
I hope that I love Dick maybe might not be the best sentence. That's not a good sound bite.
I think you should roll with it.
Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Loudly declare what you love.
I love Dick.
Yep.
I'll say it again.
Yep.
I hope that by the end of this episode, though, Amber loves Dick as much as I do.
I hope so too.
I bet she will.
I think I will.
Do you want to know some facts about this movie before you see it?
Yeah, I mean, if there are some facts y'all think are good to know before seeing it.
I mean, I think you need to know a little bit
Well,
about.
we'll talk. We always talk about the context.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So the year is 1978, and that's it. That's the year. Done.
That's the year.
All right, let's watch the movie. No.
Cool. And my mom went to see this movie. Okay, we have context.
So something we usually talk about is the highest grossing films that year.
Mm-hmm.
The highest grossing film of 1978.
Uh,
There's a little bit of dispute,
okay.
but I want to say, because it's in the trivia of Wikipedia, it says so in Wikipedia that this is the highest grossing film, is Superman. This
Wow.
is the highest grossing movie in 1978.
I would have assumed.
I kind of thought that's where you were going.
Followed by Grease.
Oh, my mom also went to see that movie a lot, just in case any of you wanted to know.
Oh, she saw it a lot?
A lot.
Ugh, she's the reason this one might not, like, there's a little
Oh,
contention.
Actually, I think that may be why, because she said she went to see it 7 times.
So
She's-
it's because of her that they're not sure if Superman was the winner or not.
She's that flip. God damn it, Cat. Okay. Other big movies that year. They're all huge, like, honestly. Because next is Animal House,
Okay, yeah.
Every Which Way But Loose with Clint Eastwood, Heaven Can Wait,
Wow, yeah.
Hooper, Jaws 2, so quality film.
You know.
Cheech and Chong's Up in Smoke, Revenge of the Pink Panther, and Deer Hunter.
Wow.
Those are the top 10 movies in 1978. The best film at the Academy Awards was obviously Deer Hunter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just... It wasn't Superman.
It never is.
It wasn't Grease either. Like,
Superman was nominated for its score.
Did we have? Well, we probably didn't have an effects award yet in '78
I don't think so.
because
I do know a piece of trivia that I was going to talk about later,
that's fine.
but I can talk about right. No, it's fine.
Oh,
It's fine.
okay.
It's fine. It doesn't ruin anything.
Okay.
It's just that our buddy Dick Donner
Yeah.
was pissed and let people know that he was disgusted that John Barry, who was the I have it written down. He was the art director.
Yeah.
That he wasn't nominated for the Academy Award.
That is pretty horrendous.
And that the movie California Suite did, and he was quoted saying that California Suite's art director just recreated a hotel that already exists. In Superman, Barry created an entire fictional city in a fortress in the Arctic.
Yeah.
And so he was very mad about that. And he was also mad that Jeffrey Unsworth did not get a cinematography nomination, which I agree.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
And we can talk more about that afterwards, because I'd love to know what you think after you see the movie. Like, the fact that they didn't, it's just bonkers.
Yeah.
I mean, I think first off, I just think it's nice that it wasn't even him being like, why didn't I get recognition? And it was like, no, the people that worked for me and, you know, did all this, like, they should have gotten recognition. First off, I just think that's nice.
Amber's like, I already like Dick Donner.
Yeah, love him.
I'm a fan.
I'm a fan of Dick Donner.
Having seen a lot of behind the scenes of him, that's just his personality in a nutshell.
Okay, it's done. I love Dick.
He's
Okay,
just
it's already
nicest
happened.
person ever.
But so that's 1978. That's what was going well. But then to like give some more background to this, I did a little bit of like Superman facts.
Okay.
We're going to kind of go into Superman because I think that Superman's a very interesting phenomenon
Yes.
in the fact that Superman first appeared in Action Comics #1. I don't know if you know, he was in the original Action Comics.
I do know that. Yes.
Published April 18th, 1938.
Yeah.
Written by Jerry Siegel, arts by Joe Shuster. So those are some facts about Superman. By 1939, he had his own book, as well as appearing in Action Comics, which he still does to this day. There's still, like, they've been doing Action Comics at least monthly and Superman at least monthly. And there have been times where he's had up to 6 titles that are just Superman.
Not bad.
Superman has run consistently since 1938.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not bad.
I mean, he created the American superhero.
Yes.
Like, before, like, the term superhero comes from the name Superman. There wasn't the term before Superman.
Yeah.
It didn't exist. And like, as you talked about, you're a huge superhero fan, and like,
Yeah.
you watch the Marvel movies, and like, the superhero genre is an American genre. It's an American art form. Like, comic books are American. Like, these stories are American. This is our mythology.
That started with Superman.
That started with Superman
Yeah.
and Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster.
Yes.
And I love that.
Which I think that might have actually been where, even though I don't know him, I've always had some respect for Superman, because I did know that he's like the first, that he is the
absolute
first
Yeah.
of that. So I think I always was just kind of like, okay, even though I don't know much about him, you know, hats off. Like,
Yeah.
you started this.
Yeah.
So
They're like, here's this man, and he's super. And now we have like multi-billion-dollar franchises.
yeah.
I mean, he popularized and created the archetypes of a costume, a code name, extraordinary abilities, and an altruistic mission. Those were the things that like they defined as being Superman specific, and that is what then became the superhero.
I'm a
Yeah.
fan of all of those costumes and code names,
Extraordinary abilities.
extraordinary abilities,
Altruism.
and doing good, you know?
Yeah.
Doing good while looking good.
And like, to even like talk about how Superman impacted culture, like Superman, the character, made his way to Japan post World War II, and it began a wave of Japanese superheroes and Japanese manga that like even Sailor Moon attributes to it, Ultraman attributes to Superman. Like, a lot of the Japanese stuff that now comes here and influences us, like, it wouldn't exist without Superman. So like, that's all so cool to me.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he had his own comic by 39, to go back a bit. He got his first radio show in 1940. So like, they were immediately like, this thing
Yeah.
is its own, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, this is its thing. There were theatrical animated shorts that ran from 1941 to 1943. So they used to do little like serial animated
Yeah.
bits before movies. He had a live action movie serial in 1948. And Kirk Allen was the first man to ever play Superman in any sort of televised thing. In 1951, the movie Superman and the Mole Men. It's considered the first Superman feature. It's 58 minutes. Stars George Reeves. And the whole idea was it's an extended pilot. And it kicks off the 1952 to 1959 Superman TV show.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which, I don't know if I should say this now.
Yeah.
But this is just a personal fun fact. I don't even know if it's that funny for our audience.
Yeah.
But just the day before we were talking about doing this, I had just watched a video about George Reeves.
Oh,
Not about
really?
Superman, but just about him. And like, it was on BuzzFeed Unsolved. It was talking about him and the way he died. And like, I watched that video and then we were like, oh yeah, we're going to do this. I was like, oh, that's funny. It's just like funny to me.
Like, oh, more Superman.
Yeah,
in
more
my
Superman.
life. By like the 60s, superheroes kind of became this camp thing. And it kind of like, as we all know, what happened with Batman and the Batman show that I absolutely love.
I love that show. Yeah.
Great show, great movie. Superman kind of fell into that same thing. In 66, he actually had a Tony-nominated musical that was a campy, satirical Superman joke, kind of in the vein of how the Batman show is, called It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's Superman.
That sounds incredible.
After, I think, 78, they made a televised version. So there is like a recorded TV
So we
version.
could go watch the musical after.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
After this, let's go do that.
It's on.
So like that all led up to this, which this is the first big budget Superman movie, but also the first big budget superhero movie.
Yeah.
That was treated as like, this isn't a joke. This isn't like
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
camp.
yeah, I know you just said it, but like, yeah, I just really want to drive home for Amber because like, I feel like you're going to see stuff in this that you're like, but like, this is the first superhero movie and the first Superman movie. So anything that you're like,
Yeah.
oh, that's like, oh, no, you have to realize like, this is the first.
That's actually a thought that I had because I didn't have all those facts, but I knew from my mom that this was, a very big deal, the first and stuff. And so I was already kind of prepared in my head to be like, I wonder, just how much. I'll be like, oh, that's where that started. That's where this came from. That's where that pose is, from.
This is kind of a thing I was going to put in the trivia, but I'll talk about it now instead because I think it matters in like the groundbreakingness of Superman.
Yeah.
In that Superman began post-production way before it came out, like too far before, in the fact that like George Lucas was offered to direct Superman, but turned it down because he was wanting to do Star Wars instead.
Yeah.
So Superman was shooting before Star Wars started shooting even.
It came out in 78, but you have to understand this movie was happening before and during Star Wars.
Okay.
So this film was not at all influenced by Star Wars. This was its own innovation happening in almost the same
I'll
moment.
set my Star Wars religion to the side a little bit.
Yeah, because like a lot of films post 77, you can be like, oh, that's Star Wars.
They came
Yeah.
after those effects were born. This did not.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that is very good to know.
Yeah.
Because I do think of everything through a Star Wars lens.
Yeah, no,
No.
they had no Star Wars to view it through.
Yeah.
Because it hadn't like come out really
Yeah.
when they were already.
They were just already, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they started filming this and developing these techniques before Star Wars came out.
These effects are
They predate
Sure.
Star Wars,
Sure,
even though
sure.
it was released later.
Yeah.
Because they had a crazy production we will talk about afterwards.
I do think it's kind of cool though how like Star Wars and Superman, which were in my opinion both just like groundbreaking films who like came out so close together.
I know.
Yeah.
It was like these two movies that just kind of changed cinema forever in my opinion.
Well, like,
And were both happening at the same time. That even was offered to George Lucas,
Yeah.
like that interwoven.
well, and they both utilize very similar but also different methods of creating these effects. There's like some inspiration from like similar sources, but they also, I feel like, independently found
different ways to do
different
things.
incredible ways to create effects that had never before been seen on the screen.
Well, and even that kind of representation of, I don't know, heroes and like staple heroes in American culture, Luke Skywalker, Superman, like
Yeah.
they're both such a part of our culture.
Yeah.
Yes, you're 100% right. That's just correct.
And Luke is very much a Superman character. He's just altruistic, sweet.
Has a lot of different outfits too.
Superman's a little less whiny.
Yeah. Luke has to mature over his movies.
Yeah.
At the time, this movie had the highest production budget of all time. when it was made. It was the most expensive film
Okay.
ever made. So a little difference in Star Wars because like he was just like, can I have some money, please? Like,
That was just an Oliver Twist of please. I have some more to go shoot in the desert.
Yeah.
which we'll get to how this got produced. It's a wild story.
I'm so excited from the looks on both of y'all's faces.
It's on Roger Ebert's greatest movies of all time list.
That makes sense.
So I just want to say, so this is like slightly different than our last episode, Napoleon Dynamite, which didn't you say is on like Roger Ebert's absolute
Yeah.
shit list?
Roger Ebert thought it was probably one of the worst movies ever made.
That's fantastic. I love that these are going to end up being back to back.
And they're both such good films.
I mean,
Sorry, carry on.
yeah. I'm going to pivot because I feel like we're going to end with more excitement if I end with Superman facts. So I'm going to pivot to Richard Donner for a bit and then we'll get back to Superman.
Okay, and then we'll watch the movie.
Facts.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. So Donner began directing TV in 1960.
Okay.
Okay.
He did approximately 1 billion television shows, it looks like, if you read his IMDb.
Oh, who hasn't?
But then he directed his first feature, The Omen, which came out in 1976. And the producers of Superman saw The Omen and like literally called him the next day because they had kind of had a whole like had a director, lost a director, found a director, like they had on again, off again relationship
Sure.
with directors. And so then they called him and were like, get the Omen guy in here to do Superman, which is I think is a weird choice. Never seen The Omen. I just know it's a horror
How
film.
hilarious would it be if suddenly I was like, oh, I've seen that one. I've seen that
You're like,
Richard
"Oh,
Donner
wait, I
movie.
have seen
Oh, yeah, the horror one.
He has directed 2 films that are in the Library of Congress Film Registry.
Wow.
One being Superman, the other one being The Goonies.
Okay.
Some of his other big films, which I was curious if you'd seen any Donner. His big films are Omen, Superman, The Toy
Nope.
with Richard Pryor, Lady Hawk. Lady Hawk's good. Goonies,
Nope.
The Lethal Weapons,
My favorites.
and Scrooged.
No.
Then you because he's done other stuff. It's like he's done other like action movies because
Yeah.
he's an action blockbuster guy.
Yeah.
But you've never seen a Dick Donner film.
I guess not.
Well, I'll tell you a quote that'll make you fall in love with him. So this is a Richard Donner quote. I have a bust of Abraham Lincoln in my office. And it's not because of all the greatnesses he did for our country, but it's because whenever I look at it, I have to remember an actor killed him.
What does that even mean?
Oh, no, I get it.
Is it like, is it just a reminder to himself to respect his actors, or they'll kill him? Like what?
I think so.
I think it's keep an eye on your actors and
Okay,
don't
or
get
they'll kill you.
too cocky, or they'll kill you.
Exactly.
Okay, that's secret.
It's like, remember, actors, not only are they people, they're people that murder.
I mean, maybe there's something in there about how actors change the fate of the world or something, but I think it's just keep an eye on them.
I think it's like, nah, don't forget they're wild animals.
Yeah.
They'll fucking
Like
kill
that
ya.
line in The Producers. Actors are people too. Really? Have you ever eaten with one?
So the reputation he had for being like really nice and friendly and bubbly on set, is that just because underneath it he was scared one of them was going to kill him?
He was like, they could shoot
They could
me
shoot me.
at any
This
moment.
that is a weird
Yeah.
quote. Thank you so much for sharing.
He respected them like you respect a tiger. You have to like
Gotcha.
be kind
Okay,
to because
yeah.
like it can maul you at any moment.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. I don't think we can top that. I think that was the highlight of this podcast was that quote.
It's a pretty great quote. I heard it and I was like, that's wonderful. That has to go on the pod. The movie stars Christopher Reeve, as you know. We've said his name 100 times.
We have.
Margot Kidder, Gene Hackman, and Marlon Brando, which we'll talk more about Brando later.
I didn't realize all those other people were in it.
Oh, so you know when me and Sam talk about Brando and all the crazy Brando stuff?
Yeah.
Generally, we're talking about this
yeah.
movie.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
We'll delve into that after though. That's for after.
Yeah, we will.
We got yeah.
Christopher Reeve was very new. He'd done just a little bit of TV, and this is his like
He was
breakout.
their unknown essentially.
Like the trailer for the movie literally was like Marlon Brando, Gene Hackman, and this other guy, Christopher Reeve, you've never heard of.
Yep.
Like that's
You know what I just have to say, because you're talking about all the crazy stuff Marlon Brando did and stuff. I understand him being afraid an actor, was going to kill Marlon Brando. I could
Specifically
see,
about
I
Marlon
could see the fear.
this is pretty much Kidder's breakout from television. because she'd done like
Okay.
a bunch of TV, and this is what got her into mostly movies. If you look at her
Sure.
IMDb, and then Gene Hackman and Marlon Brando are both divas, and we'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to get back to how great Superman is,
Yes.
we talked about how it was the most expensive movie at the time it was made, but it also topped the box office charts for 13 consecutive weeks.
Wow.
That's a lot of weeks.
That's a lot of weeks.
Is that like 3 months?
Yeah. More than. Just over.
Jesus. Like, I don't even think that Avengers Endgame or Infinity War were like 3 months top of the box office.
They're
I don't
in
know.
theaters forever, but I don't think they're at the top for that.
Yeah,
whole
evidently
time.
our mother was just seeing Grease, but everyone else was seeing Superman.
But beyond that, this is one of my favorite facts about this, is that Superman, 1978, is the best performing Superman movie of all time. This is the best. They haven't done better.
That's kind of what I've
That's
heard.
true. No. We don't need to go into
Yeah.
Well, well, no.
But,
So
yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
I deep dove this.
Okay.
I went too far.
Oh, okay.
Like, adjusted for inflation,
Sure.
even like I looked really far into it. Adjusted for inflation, Superman, like if it came out today and had the same ticket sales, would have made $1.7 billion.
Oh, jeez.
Man of Steel, I even adjusted it for inflation from whatever year it came out
Yeah.
to today.
2013.
Yeah. 800 million.
Oh.
Cheese and crackers.
Oh, that's not even.
Yeah.
1 point what? Did it double? It did double?
Yeah. 1.7 billion.
Cool.
And if we look at their budgets adjusted for inflation,
Oh.
I did this.
Yeah.
Man of Steel would have cost 260 million.
Uh-huh.
And today, Superman 1978 would have cost 230 million.
Oh. So it was still,
It was still a very expensive movie.
yeah,
A little
but
cheaper.
a little cheaper.
30 million less.
Yeah. To make twice as much.
Yeah. It's even better performing, and I did all the work for adjusting for inflation for all these.
Uh-huh.
It's even better performing than Batman versus Superman, which isn't just a Superman movie.
Yeah, you forgot both fan bases.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it did better than Justice League.
Cool.
And it cost less than any of them.
I was just going to say, I think that's really interesting because I know on the one hand, some people might be like, oh, well, there's more superhero movies. So, like, people just, go to different ones and they're not all going to, like, one particular film. But on the other hand, I think that's really crazy because, like, superheroes were a joke. And then this movie happened and it still managed to make
Yeah.
that much money and be
Yeah.
that successful.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
though no one really loved superheroes yet.
I mean, like
that way.
nowadays, if you like, I'm reading Ken Kwapis's book. He's a director. He's just not that into in other movies like that. And he discusses doing test screenings and all that and how producers are being like, well, nobody's seen a movie like that, therefore it won't do good.
yeah.
But like,
Historically, it's the opposite.
It's, yeah.
but like no one had seen a movie like Superman.
So they went for 3 months.
Yeah, but so like traditional current wisdom would say
Yeah.
that a superhero movie, everyone's seen it, therefore it will do well.
yeah.
But Superman shows that if you make a good
Something new and different that no one's ever seen. You make Star Wars and Superman.
Yeah.
Grease.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It is funny too because even within superhero movies, a lot of the ones that have then done better than previous superhero movies, even if they're all in the superhero genre, are the ones where the fans come out and like, oh, that was really different. They like went to a new place. So it is funny how so many producers are like, no. Got to do the same thing or it won't do well.
Yeah.
It's so not true.
Did you have another piece of Superman trivia?
No, I think that's really it. I just wanted to tell you guys how revolutionizing this film was and how well it, like, the fact that it did that well at the box
Yeah,
office.
no, it's super cool.
And I think it's just like
It's the best Superman movie of all time.
I also think just to have a little moment of encouragement, if you have a project and it seems really out there and everyone's like, no one's ever done that. That's stupid. You know what? They can shut up because
Yeah.
it'll probably be very popular.
So true, though. Also, oh,
I
go
thought of
ahead.
another thing I wanted to say.
Oh, okay.
But you can say your thing first.
Oh, I don't know. I was just going to say a thing that's really cool and then promptly contradict myself. I don't know.
I love that.
I was just going to say kind of what Amber said. Like, yeah, Be like Richard Donner. Fully commit to the Superman movie when nothing like that's ever been done before, and it's been like a campy TV show and shit. But also, don't be afraid to be George Lucas, who turned down directing Superman before he was fucking George Lucas, really,
Yeah.
to make his really crazy weird project, which was the right choice for him also.
Yeah.
Yes. I think the point is...
Stick to your guns.
I was about to say, I think the point is still, if you have a project you feel passionate about, just go and do it. Because, George Lucas turned down Superman.
Don't worry about the projects you're not doing either.
Yeah. Don't worry about those, because both of these were things that needed to be made.
Yeah.
But Richard Donner, I don't think, could have gone and done Star Wars. That was George Lucas's brainchild. So they
George Lucas needed to go, just
like... to do Star Wars. We needed both
do
these
your
movies.
thing, and don't worry about the things that aren't your thing. That's okay, too.
Yeah.
I really like that advice of like, don't worry about what you're not working on.
Yeah.
Like the project that you turned down.
Yeah, it's not your project.
Because like that had to be scary being like, that's a lot of money. Like, God, he just directed American Graffiti and they offer him, I don't know if they offered him the same as Richard Donner, but let's say they offered him $1 million like they offered Richard Donner. I'm sure there was a minute where George was like, that's a lot. But then I can't do Star Wars. I'm sure also
when he was
now.
in the desert having a heart attack, he
Yes.
was like, I should have taken the Superman money.
Well, plus one of my favorite, this is a little off kilter now, but one of my favorite stories about like that time when he was making Star Wars was when he went to see Spielberg, when he went to see The Shark for Jaws. And I didn't know all this about Superman. I didn't know that he had also already turned on Superman. And he talked about how he was watching Spielberg play with the shark and stuff and just went, I'm never going to make a movie this good. And he was like trying to work on Star Wars, and he was like, "This is it." Like he talked about in his head, he was like, "This is idiotic. I wish I made good movies." And I love that moment because every time I'm getting down, I'm like, "Okay, maybe I am working on something good." And I'm just looking at Jaws, which is also going to be a great movie, being like, "Oh God!" And so now also knowing that he turned down Superman,
yeah, that's wild.
We all live in that space. I was going to say we've all been there, but I was like, no, we all live in that space.
We're all there.
I also want to talk about, though, with Donner and, like, Superman, and this being the best Superman movie of all time. Mm-hmm. And the fact that, like, yeah, it's innovative, it's groundbreaking, it's the first superhero movie. I don't think, though, that doesn't mean you can't make another Superman movie that does as well as this movie.
No.
Yeah.
Because I think that what this movie shows is that if you have reverence and take something seriously and you care as much as Dick Donner did.
But also not too seriously.
No. But, like, he wanted to tell a story that, like, was engaging and would connect with people.
Yeah.
Not like he's trying to show, like, oh, Superman can be a badass, or like, oh, like, we made a man fly. Like, he wanted to tell a story that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think he succeeds at that. And we'll see if Amber agrees.
Well, I haven't seen this movie.
Yeah.
But I also just think that, like, that idea of telling a story just about someone who, like, wants to do good or help people, and that's, like, such a very simple storyline. And, yeah, like you were saying, not trying to, like, do this whole thing and, like, make him a badass or, like, this, like, super in-depth, but just, like, a character that's trying to do some good in the world and
I think
has their
you're
struggles.
right. That is, like, the beauty of, like, we'll see what you think, but I think that's the beauty of, like, keeping it, in a weird way, simple. Where I think a lot of people overthink. They're, like, trying to reinvent the wheel sometimes. But I also like that the tagline for this film on the posters
So
was just, you'll believe, what was it?
You'll believe a man can fly.
You'll believe a man can fly.
And it was just clouds and just the Superman S, and just at the very bottom it said, you'll believe a man can fly. That was the poster.
Yeah, they were just like,
that's really sweet.
It's so good, you'll believe a man can fly.
Yep.
But so that's Superman. Are you excited to watch this movie?
I'm so excited and, like, nervous in myself.
Yeah, why?
So this is a weird thing that I do to myself sometimes. When I'm about to see a movie I'm really excited for, or that I've heard a lot about, where it's not like some people where I'm like, oh, I hope this doesn't suck. What I do is I'm like, I hope I feel the right things. I hope this, like,
I hope I react appropriately.
I hope I react properly, which is such a weird Amber thing to think.
That's hilarious.
But I'm excited. I'm very excited to see this.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you're excited for Superman.
Yeah.
Should we put it in?
Yeah, let's watch it. Let's watch this movie.
Let's watch Superman.
Yay.
This is Superman.
Oh, boy. All right, Amber, you have now seen your very first and the first, both firsts, Superman movie.
It was amazing. It was great. It was good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I guess that's all I...
All right, that's it. End the podcast. Thanks for listening, guys. This has been another episode of First Timers Movie Club.
Like and subscribe.
Good night.
And good night.
Yeah, bye.
Cool.
No, I mean, I really loved it. Everyone's great in it. Yeah, it was funny watching it because, like, I'm not usually the type to be like, oh, like, really fast. But, like, as soon as Christopher Reeves just starts being Clark Kent or Superman, I was like, I'm sold. I'm sold.
Yeah.
I love you. You
Yeah.
know, you're great.
The beginning of the movie's good, but then as soon as you get to Metropolis, it's great.
Yeah.
It's just...
Because the beginning of it, I appreciated for, you know, all the special effects, and it was
Yeah.
cool and stuff. And,
It
you
was
know, you
really
needed
well
that
done.
to set it up. The cinematography was great. I was like, oh, this is going to be, you know, this is good. This is good.
Yeah.
And then it gets to Metropolis and everything. And there's just got
Margot
all...
Kidder.
Yeah, Margot Kidder.
Christopher
and
Reeve.
Christopher Reeves. And I was like, oh, fuck. I'm into it. Like, before it was like, oh, this is going to be a good movie. And now I'm like, oh, I'm invested.
I understand. Yeah, because when I watch it, I'm like, this is a really good movie, but let's get to...
But it also, like, it does, like, the hero's journey. It tells
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
whole hero's journey story. It doesn't skip through any of that, like, oh, well, let's just get on to the action beats.
Yeah.
Like, it's willing to take that time and really build up who he is and build up. It treats it like it's mythology.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that that's part of what makes it so great,
Yeah, it's great.
is that it does take that hour and a half almost to get to.
Yeah, because it's, what, a
Scene.
2.5 hour movie?
Yeah. And it is, like, I think it's an hour 15. So I didn't write down the trivia, but it is in the trivia on IMDb for, like, how long it takes to see Superman. It's a long time. But it's not, like, necessarily boring.
No.
And it's not like, where's the Superman stuff? And I feel like sometimes even in, like, the modern superhero movies, you do see them and you're like, okay, when are we going to get to, like, them being a superhero?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what they didn't take away from, you know what I mean? Like, this is the master class.
I mean, it's because it doesn't feel like filler.
Yeah.
I
at
feel like it
first.
also, and this might be a weird thing to say, but seeing all of that, like, even if it's not, I mean, this isn't really how you see movies. You kind of trust what the storyteller is telling you. But I feel like having that backstory for him really makes you trust Superman as the audience. Like, seeing all of that beginning and hero's journey and how he is growing up and how he is with his mom and where he came from and what he wants to try to do, versus if the movie just started with Metropolis.
And
like,
he was
maybe
a hero.
And he was a hero. And he, like, and you're like, oh, he seems pretty nice and stuff. But, like, having that, like, backup, I don't know, it'd be like, yeah, he's a really good person who wants to do good.
I mean, you watch him from an infant to adulthood.
Yeah.
Like if we're comparing it to Man of Steel, which you haven't seen, but they kind of try to do a lot of it. Like, they start with Krypton being destroyed,
Mhm.
and then they jump to him, like, as an adult looking for, like, his home, to finding the Fortress of Solitude. And they do flashbacks of him with his dad and his mom. And it doesn't work as well. Like, it's not Superman.
I haven't seen it in a really long time, so I barely remember it. I know I personally, like, this movie has such a sense of levity to it, though,
Yeah.
and, like, fun, even though it is still, like, not campy like the TV shows that preceded it, both Batman and Superman, you know? Like, it's not camp, but it's still, like, fun. It's not just a straight, serious drama action film like I feel like Man of Steel more is, which is for some people, but I like my films to have a sense of humor still.
I mean, this movie's also, it's a rom-com. It's a love
Yeah.
story.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, I'm a sucker for a love story, and I swoon.
It's hot
Yeah.
and
Oh my
steamy.
It is. It is. I was shocked some
I
of those
know.
jokes.
And do you like pink?
Yeah,
I like Pink very much, Lois.
it's funny because I said this on Citizen Kane too, but I didn't expect it to be as funny as it was. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not like in a, oh, this is like silly, like you said, not like campy or anything, like genuinely well-written jokes and dialogue. And that was something else I loved about it because like it is a superhero movie. It's fantastical in a lot of ways, but like all the ways the characters interact and the ways that they speak feel so real.
Yes.
And natural, and people's reactions to seeing Superman all feel very real and natural, and the entire thing feels very grounded in reality and human interaction. Yeah, exactly.
I also like that I feel like the pacing is like purposefully different and the scripting purposefully different when he gets to Metropolis.
Yeah.
Because like it's got like a very like with his parents and then with his adopted parents and then like and it's got like a like fun, and it's still like fun when he's like kicking the football and the kids are meet, you know, but then like he gets to Metropolis and like I feel like the writing changes to match the change in his life. When you're first in the newspaper office, it's just completely different.
Yeah.
There's a lot more talking over each other. It's a lot more just fast paced. Yeah.
He's left the slow paced farm life behind and is in the city now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he doesn't fit in.
Yeah. Swell.
And I mean, I love the way that he, I don't know. I think that the two different like personas, sometimes disguises, can not work in movies, you know? Not even superhero movies, but just other films I've seen with that. And in this one, Christopher Reeves, obviously great acting, but just the way it's done is so good with the fact his posture and the way he walks and the way he talks and the way he fiddles with his glasses, like everything about him changes, but at the same time, you see the same person. And I think that's such a like delicate balance to weave of where it's not just, oh, they're a completely different person now. And like you still see that like side of him that's like, yeah, he grew up in the countryside and like he's kind of nervous on the inside and he doesn't feel like he fits in. But then when he's Superman, he also still has that like polite like, bye, have a good night. Like
that's, I mean, this movie is why I feel like you probably get now why like when we've talked about superhero movies or like a thing I often say, or I just feel like legitimately when people make fun of the Superman glasses being a disguise, I'm like, well, but have you seen Christopher Reeve do it? Because it's believable when he does it.
So one of my pieces of trivia is that on the studio lot, Christopher Reeve would go to lunch and stuff. Sometimes he would go to lunch in the Superman outfit, and crowds of women would come around him, and like crowds of people would just be like, Superman, Superman, you know, like they want to talk to Superman, right?
Yeah.
And then if he went to lunch in Clark Kent's outfit, no one would talk to him. Like people ignored him. People like wouldn't like look at him because like he just looks like a dork, and you just ignore the dork in the suit.
You're like, oh, it's another like business person on one of the lots.
Yeah.
Probably doing accounting.
But when you see Christopher Reeve in the Superman outfit, that's fucking Superman.
And the little curly hair.
Yeah. Did you notice he parts his hair on different sides?
He does. Yeah. That's what I mean. He's got the different parts and the little curl.
Which like he's so fast he can do it. You know what I mean? He just switches
he's got time to change his hair.
Yeah.
He carries gel in his pocket and just
and a comb.
Dude, he can go home and get gel.
Does it in his own mirror and then
and then he goes back.
Then knocks on her door.
I mean I was gonna say like in Justice League, but you haven't seen Justice League.
I know about it though.
He's faster than the Flash.
In Justice League he is. In the comics, the Flash is faster.
I know.
And he should be.
I knew you were gonna start.
They have a similar pace, but Flash is faster.
Okay. But the point is, you can give him a run for his money, so he can go home and get hair gel.
Oh yeah, easy.
Yeah, that's what we're discussing right now. Is can he go home and get hair gel? And the answer is yes.
Yeah, but the Double Jeopardy scene at the end should have been way easier because of how fast he is.
Yeah.
Like he's so fast he can go back in time.
Yeah.
He was stressed.
It's fridge logic. We don't talk about that.
He was in his head.
It took the force of his will for him to be able to go that fast. It's like a mother getting adrenaline rush and lifting a car.
Oh, I totally agree.
He couldn't have done it if she hadn't died.
Yeah, definitely.
That was about him finding his own inner strength.
And like deciding
to break the rules
for what's more important, which is Lois and the people and saving people and doing whatever it takes to save people because he's the best. And it's just all of the hearts.
Yeah. Because he doesn't understand violence.
Yeah. I just love this movie so much. Like I've seen it probably 1,000,000,002 times. and I still am a little kid when I watch this movie.
It's
Like,
it's incredible.
I hear the John Williams score and I'm like, bum, bum, bum. Like I just like love it.
It is still like incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's the best Superman movie of all time.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, not just with his character, but just the whole film. I can enjoy a movie without really like getting all pumped up and into it and stuff and be like, oh, that was a good movie. And there are some superhero movies that I've seen that I really like, but I'm not like heart pounding, like all excited. And this one I was, and I didn't expect that.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Amber's like, I get the Superman thing now.
I get it.
She's like, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
Talking about like seeing this after seeing all of the other superhero movies in existence pretty much. How fun was it seeing like the Wonder Woman like homage moments that like now that you do you know what I'm saying? So like Wonder Woman, Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman films, she homages the Superman films quite a bit.
Yeah.
And like the moment with the bullet in the alley.
Yep.
Like they do that scene in Wonder Woman. The flying bits in Wonder Woman 84 is fully this movie. And like she said it in interviews that Superman, 1978 Superman, is the movie that made her want to make movies. Like she saw this in theaters and it gave her a visceral emotional reaction, and that's like her inspiration. And like I just kind of love that. And like you can feel it so much in Wonder Woman 84. But like also it's just kind of like those moments were super fun seeing them in theaters for like me and Lolo. And like they were probably like cool moments in the movie, but like seeing this, what was it like being like, oh, I've seen that?
Yeah, does it change how you view every other superhero movie you've ever seen?
I kind of knew it was going to.
Yeah.
You know, because like I said, I knew this was the original one. So going into it, I was ready for that to happen.
But was it like fun seeing them and like connecting
so much
them?
of it. And I mean, even stuff that's not DC. You know, because a lot of it also reminded me of the first Captain America movie, or the first Captain America movie reminded me of this, because this one came first. You know, part of my language. I know this one came first.
It's the order you saw it in is what it reminds you of.
I mean, so many of the Marvel movies have stuff like this in it. I mean, also, this is a weird one to reference, but like the animated movie Megamind, I already knew it was kind of a Superman parody, but so much, like even the shots, some of it I was thinking of that movie and was like, oh wow, yeah, that one really did a good job of like, yeah, with that too.
I mean, it's still like the structure and the format that most of them follow for a superhero movie.
Yeah, absolutely. So no, there were a lot of things where even though I knew it was going to happen, it was fun. Those little moments being like, oh yeah, okay, there you go, there's one. And even just, I can't remember one of them, I should have written it down, where I was like, oh, that's like the signature move that one of these other characters does, you know, now kind of. So that was very cool to see. Little trippy at points even.
Something else I like about this movie, specifically this first one also, is just like, if you really think about it, like it's a superhero action movie with 0 fight scenes.
Yeah.
There's no fight scene. There's no bad guy fight scene. He goes in, he talks to Lex, and he's like, oh, God damn it, and he goes off and saves the world. Like, it's... It's a very, like...
It's very straightforward, actually.
And, like, the action beats are still short. Even the Double Jeopardy scene, which is a long action beat as a whole, are made of segments, though.
Yeah.
And even that, though, like, they're made of little segments. Like, he saves the people in the electricity factory. He saves this person here. It's these little segments instead of being like, oh, cool, we're doing a 15-minute car chase? Okay.
Yeah. We're going to blow up buildings for 30 minutes.
I also think it's pretty cool that this one, like, talking about that, there not being really, like, a full, all these fight scenes and stuff. I actually really like that. Because don't get me wrong, I've seen a lot of great fight scenes in superhero movies. Those are great, too. But so much of what Superman is about saving people, and he doesn't understand violence. And I really liked the fact that in this movie, that all of the intense scenes aren't about beating up and defeating the bad guy. It's about saving the people the bad guy's trying to hurt.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a big difference that not every movie does, where they'll have a character that, like, they care about saving people, but they'll take a bunch of time. And there are even some movies I've seen where I'm like, just let them get away for a minute and go save those people that are about to die. Like, it feels like you're way more focused on trying to defeat this person than just, like, deal with the repercussions of the villain. And so I thought it was really cool to see a movie where, he doesn't, like, stay in Lex Luthor's lair to go beat up Lex Luthor and then go deal with the bombs. Yeah. He's like, okay, I'm going to go save everyone. And then it won't take me that long to go throw Lex in jail.
Yeah.
Like, that's just a little side thing of like, I got to go do this thing, Lois. And then...
Yeah, he's just like, Lex is a person. I can go pick him up. Like,
it's not a big deal. I'm fine.
Do you remember what it was that you wanted to like say a thing and then we stopped you because you were like, oh wait,
Oh.
say it on the podcast?
Oh, I can't decide if she'll make fun of me if I say this or not. So we'll see. You can always edit it out. No, because I don't know if y'all know this, but Mommy talks about Christopher Reeves as Superman a lot. Like it was one of her like huge crushes, I guess. And like when I told her about some of the new Superman movies, even her head like whipped around and she was like, "Who's playing Superman?" And I told her the actor, and she was like, She was like really grumpy about it. When I showed her a picture of Henry Cavill, she was like, I mean, he's fine. He's not Christopher Reeves. And I was like, okay. And I'd never seen Christopher Reeves. And then this movie started and I saw Christopher Reeves. I was like, oh, I get it. Oh, wow. He's perfect. I get why she talks about him so much.
Just so you know, which I did this for years.
It's Reeve.
Is it Reeves?
So, okay, so here's what contributes to the like very confusing brain scenario is George Reeves was him on the TV show, and Christopher Reeve, no S, is in this movie. It's like a Berenstein Bears thing with a lot of people.
I thought it was the opposite way.
Yeah, no, this is Christopher Reeve.
Because I knew one of them had no S, and I thought it was George Reeve, Christopher Reeves.
It's also confusing because people always say Christopher Reeve's Superman.
Okay.
And
well,
so your brain, the
I had it
S
flipped.
just kind of, yeah.
I'll cut all that.
Yeah.
You'll just start saying it right and people will be like, weird.
What the frick?
No, he is super. Yeah, definitely have a man crush on Christopher Reeve, though.
Yeah.
He's gorgeous. So I guess I'll tell this trivia now about Christopher Reeve, is that to play Superman, when he did the auditions, they were like, scrawny? And because when he auditioned, he weighed about 170. And so they ended up getting him a personal trainer. And he did get to 220. So this is Christopher Reeve 220, which is kind of what is the like
The
standard
weight.
male action star nowadays, is this 220 that Christopher Reeve did in Superman. And do you know who was his personal trainer?
Who?
You're going to love this. Amber's not going to be able to handle it. She's going to lose her mind. David Prowse.
Wow.
So just on that scrawny front, Vic Armstrong, who was the stunt double for Superman,
Yeah.
in his book, which I was like, that's so rude. He talks about how like, yeah, he was a great actor, but when we first got him, because Vic Armstrong not only did stunts, but he did a lot of the stunt choreography and a lot of the stuff. He was like, yeah, he's great, but at first his body was just wrong. Of him just like not just for super, it was just not good. So we had to get him a trainer, and they got him buffed up.
But it was David Prowse.
That's crazy.
Prowse.
I didn't know
The
that.
man in the Darth Vader
Darth
suit.
Vader
Got
trained
Superman.
Superman.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Which I just think that's a fun
Wow.
little connection.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, crazy. There's a lot of Star Wars and Superman connections where we talk about it.
There's so many.
Yeah.
Another thing about Christopher's body, if we're just going to objectify Christopher for a bit.
Sorry, Christopher.
When they were like in production of it, there was a lot of discussion about the size of Superman's dick. Because they were like, all right,
he's in tights and a
He is,
leotard.
Yep. And so there were bits where they were like, he either has a big one or he doesn't have one at all. Like that was kind of the discussion.
consensus.
And apparently like throughout filming, there were different times where there were different size cod pieces, and there was all sorts of like ridiculous stuff. And Margot Kidder talks about one of the special features about like flicking his cod piece and like making dinking noises to fuck with him, and Christopher hated it. So there you go. There's some stuff about Christopher's penis.
Great. Yeah, I mean, that was something else that I liked. Obviously, there are several moments in it where you're like, okay, it's 1978. You need to just move on because there's just harassment of both genders. But as a whole, I love the fact that Lois Lane is completely in charge of herself and very
she's
much
baller.
just, amazing badass woman in her own right. And that was great to see because there are movies I see today that have worse female representation.
Margot
Yeah.
Kidder's a fucking badass.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I love her.
Yeah, and I love how much Superman loves that in Lois.
Yep.
Seems so pleased whenever she's.
She's incredible.
Yeah.
So just because we were talking about how Grease was the second top grossing film of the year,
And or the first, depending
and or
on...
the first, depending on who you're talking to. So just because a lot of actresses were considered for the role of Lois Lane before they settled on Margot. And one of them was Stockard Channing.
Yeah.
Which, if that had happened, Stockard Channing would have been in, potentially, unless it took her out of Grease, the top 2 grossing films of 78 would have both had Stockard Channing.
Or it might have taken, you're
But
right,
I don't know,
it might
because
have.
Grease probably shot after But This Spring, so yeah, I don't know. I'm
I
just
mean,
saying,
this movie
like,
shot for forever.
whichever one she went with, Stockard Channing was in one of the top 2 films of the year.
The screen test videos that are on the special features, and they're also on YouTube, are so much fun to watch. And like watching them, there's a lot of Supermans, and you're like, oh yeah, it's Christopher Reeve was Superman. Like all the other ones, you're like, nope, it's Christopher. And then the same with like the Loises. Watching the Loises, you're like, no, it's
Margot Kidder.
Margot Kidder. And like Stockard Channing's really good, but like it's so weird how you can just see it.
Yeah, I mean, because it's really not always... I mean, when you have a plethora of talent, it's not always about who's better at the role. It's just who is the role.
Yeah.
Because they can both be great at it. It's just, but one of them is the role.
Yep. That's really the case in this. It's crazy. And they did so many people for Superman, and like they'll talk about how like at the beginning they were looking at like a lot of famous people. At one point even like Nick Nolte was being looked at, and according to a lot of trivia, he wanted to play Superman as a schizophrenic, and when he was told he couldn't, they were less interested. They also looked at like I think Paul Newman and like a bunch of the 70s stars, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like then they were discussing, and Richard Donner really says in documentaries and interviews that like he was like, I couldn't see any of those stars flying, and you have to believe this guy can fly. So he was like, so I wanted someone who wasn't known, because then when you see him fly, you're like, oh, it's Paul Newman flying. Look at them make Paul Newman fly, because you already know Paul Newman doesn't fly. But nobody knows that Christopher Reeve doesn't fly. Like there's
Because nobody knows Christopher Reeve.
exactly, yeah.
Christopher Reeve could fly.
It's like
No one's met him.
He's from Krypton.
Yeah.
It's that whole thing of like, well, you can't prove I'm not Batman. So like with Christopher Reeve, they're like, you've never seen him in a movie, so like you can't prove he can't fly. All right, so since we talked about it in the beginning, Oscar snubs.
Yeah.
How the fuck? Like, what do you think, Amber?
I think... Well, I have so many feelings, but how do I say them in a polite way?
I think the Oscars don't respect any movie with jokes or fantasy or science fiction, generally speaking. Like, there are exceptions. I'm not saying but there are exceptions that prove that rule.
I mean...
They think if it's, like, fun, it's not art.
But like the art direction for this film is superb.
So is the cinematography.
I mean, Lolo kind of said it. I was going to try to say it in a less blunt way, but Lolo said it. I mean, I feel like the Oscars, they definitely don't respect comedy, and this is actually a very lighthearted film.
Yeah.
So they definitely don't like that. They've, and I mean, clearly we know from the beginning, they've never liked superhero movies ever. And fairly often, fantasy, any type of fantasy gets thrown by the wayside unless
I mean, like, can you beat Christopher Reeve in this movie? Like this?
Yeah.
Even, like, if you're going to really just like it's,
I do think that movies like this, and especially ones that, I don't know, I mean, there are plenty of serious films that have really good messages and stuff, but a film like this where it's just you have a good time and the message is clearly just, you know, be a good person and help people and all of that, and you just leave and you're like, Oscars doesn't really like movies like that. They like movies where you're a wreck when you leave the theater.
And I like both kinds of movies because we recently did Amadeus for the podcast. You can go back and listen to if you haven't yet.
Yeah, I love that movie too.
It's one of my favorite movies. It has like 11 Oscars. It's fucking incredible.
Yeah.
This movie's just as good. So the Oscars can like fuck off in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, there are plenty of films where I left feeling like a wreck that were Oscar movies that were brilliant, and I totally thought they deserved to go to the Oscars. But
there's
I
not
also
the only one.
think this one deserves to go to the Oscars.
So this one did go to the Oscars, technically.
Yeah.
Technically, yes.
It was nominated for 3 of them. It won a Special Achievement Award for visual effects.
Okay.
So apparently they didn't have an effects award yet, so they gave it that. It was a nominee for Best Sound. And it was actually nominated for film editing and it was a nominee for Best Original Score by John Williams.
Okay. So they hit a couple of the points.
Yeah, but like art direction and cinematography, like this movie.
Yeah, it's
nailed
beautifully
it.
shot. Which I just feel like we should talk about the DP briefly.
I would love to talk about the DP. So the DP of this film, his name,
Which is the director of photography.
is Jeffrey Unsworth.
Mm-hmm.
He's a fucking badass. He's DP'd a billion things, including, I'm pretty sure 2001 was one of the things they said he did before this. 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
Cabaret, and just like a fuck ton. But he actually did pass away before being able to see this movie. He never got to see this movie made on the big screen.
I just love that, like, the guy who made 2001: A Space Odyssey, that's like a movie, was then like, fuck yeah, let's make Superman.
Yeah.
And did it with as much commitment and just like gorgeous work as he would give to 2001: A Space Odyssey.
I also do have a funny trivia story about him, actually, that Richard Donner tells. So there's a little bit of backstory to this, which is in 1977, there was a huge blackout in New York City. Many city blocks went completely dark.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Unsworth truly believed he was at fault.
They plug in too many lights.
Yeah.
Oh.
He thinks that he was just using too much power, and like he was like, according to him and according to Donner, the power went out nearly right after Unsworth had plugged like a huge lighting equipment light into a street lamp outlet.
Oh.
And then just the whole city grid shut down. So Unsworth thinks he's responsible. Also, the New York Daily News was the location for the Daily Planet. Like,
Okay.
it was an actual newspaper.
Yeah.
And the New York Daily News was only able to get a paper out the next day because the Superman set let them use their generators to power the newspaper.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Unsworth felt bad because he blacked out the city, so he wanted them to just get their paper out.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so cute.
Except when they asked him, they were like, do you have any ideas why the whole city's out? No.
He's like, no, I was using
No
the generators
comment.
the whole time. I wasn't even tapped into the grid. See the generators? That's what we use.
Make sure you get that paper out saying that.
I would never plug into a street lamp.
Also, to talk about the award nominees, since we kind of mentioned John Williams.
Yeah.
John Williams used the exact same orchestra for this music as for Star
Star
Wars.
Wars.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I had a feeling, I was like, is it going to be John Williams? And then it wasn't. I was like, of course it is.
If we're just talking Star Wars connections,
Yeah.
Wendy Leach, who is the stunt double for Lois Lane.
Is she
also,
Leia?
No.
Oh, okay.
She stunt doubled C-3PO.
Amazing.
That's so great.
And she also played another C-3PO like droid in it.
That's
fantastic.
That's awesome. Okay, so I think before I do too much more trivia, I want to kind of give Amber some backstory on the production of this film.
Okay.
And how the fuck it all went down.
Okay.
And Lolo too, because there's some stuff you don't know.
Okay.
So it was mainly produced by the Salkind brothers. So they're these two dudes who wanted to make a Superman movie. They went to Warner Brothers and were like, you guys own the rights to Superman. We want to make a Superman movie. We think it would work. We think it's an untapped market. Like, why has no one ever done this? And Warner Brothers was like,
They were like, it's new. New doesn't work.
new doesn't work. So they actually had a negative pickup deal, which I had never heard of. And so what that means is that Warner Brothers will give you an amount of money that they think the movie should be made for. Like, they'll tell you, like, this is the number. And if you make the movie, we'll distribute it. And if we like it, we'll pay back that amount of money. But they put no money up front.
So the Salkins spent X dollars, and Warner Brothers said, and then we'll put it in theaters. And if it makes more than X dollars, we'll give you your X dollars back.
Pretty much.
We'll pretend like we paid for it after the fact.
Pretty much. But it's Warner Brothers' movie.
Yeah. We own it, but you're going to pay for it.
Yeah. So
Why? If they were paying, oh, because Warner Brothers had the rights to Superman,
Warner Brothers owns Superman. So that's the only way to do it.
so they were like, "We're gonna let you use him."
But
on
Warner
your own
Brothers
dollar."
didn't believe in this at all
Well, clearly,
at the beginning. So
because they said, "Here's no money,"
yeah.
They just slid
Okay.
an empty envelope across the desk.
and they're like, "This represents Superman, though, because
Yeah.
that's what we're giving you."
Yeah. But so then the Salkins immediately were like, okay, we need to make people believe in this project because we need to raise money because Warner Brothers isn't going to pay for it.
Yeah.
So they went out and they got Mario Puzo to write a script, which, if you
Is
guys don't know who
he-
Mario Puzo
I think
is,
I do.
do you know, Amber?
I think so.
Did he write The Godfather?
He wrote The Godfather.
That's what I thought. Okay.
So Mario Puzo wrote the script.
Okay.
They then attached Marlon Brando to act in it.
They were just starting with a Godfather base.
I was about to say, is that where Marlon Brando came from?
Gene Hackman, and then they went out and found Richard Donner to direct. After they'd gone through actually a couple different directors and a couple different actor problems and a bunch of pre-production, and they were already trying to learn how to fly. Like they were doing all sorts of
There's
crazy
a lot.
shit.
Yeah, we can.
There's so much that we can skip on that. But like that's how the movie kind of got packaged in the way it got packaged.
Gotcha.
And so then like Puzo wrote the screenplay, but then by the time they were getting closer to production, before they even got Donner, the Salkins actually brought in 3 more people to rewrite that screenplay.
I saw that there were multiple names went up besides.
So they brought in David Newman and Robert Benton, but David was busy, so his wife Leslie Niman did it instead. And so like Leslie and Robert kind of did it, and like Puzo's was this like huge epic like Godfather-esque thing. They turned it into this like kind of campy more towards Batman like thing. And then when Donner came on, he hired Tom Mankiewicz,
Oh,
Oh.
nephew of Mank.
okay.
So Citizen Kane connection. So it's perfect to have Amber on. We're
Great.
only gonna have Amber on
For
podcasts
Citizen Kane connection.
that connect to Citizen Kane.
You know, I bet we could
I
find a
think we
connection for almost
could
any
do
movie.
this,
We'll have to reverse engineer every episode.
Okay, to get back to Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
I love it.
So he brought on Mank's nephew, who was his buddy, Tom. He just like called up
Hey.
Tom and was like, yo, I've got this script. It's 500 pages.
Gross. I mean us. Say out loud.
And it's definitely 2 different scripts. And it needs to be one script. Because beyond just being Superman, the first one, Amber, the Salkins had decided they were going to make 2 films at once. They were going to make Superman and Superman 2.
Like Lord of the Rings.
I was
They were
about
just
to
like, we're just
say.
gonna shoot it all at the same time.
I mean, it worked for Lord of the Rings, but
It worked for Superman.
did they do both at once?
They did both. So everyone was signed on for 2 movies. That's why the script's 500 pages, because that's 2. It's 2 movies.
But it was literally like, because I was watching part of the documentary where they were talking about it, they were like, no, so like what they do to maximize their dollar was they would shoot every scene at the Daily Planet while they were at the Daily Planet, like for
Oh,
both
yeah.
movies. They'd be like, all right, well, now we're going to do the scene from the first movie, then we're going to jump to the scene from the second movie, and we're just while they're in that space.
So literally exactly what Lord of the Rings then did. 'Cause they
Yeah.
did the same thing with all of their locations.
So they just
They
shot them
did it
both
first.
exact same time, 2 movies.
Nice.
I mean, like the screen tests, a lot of them have a very
Scenes
important scene from
the second movie.
the second movie because the script, that's why it was a 500-page script. That's why. So like when they called Richard Donner, they were like, all right, we'll pay you $1 million to direct Superman. He was like, holy $1 million? And they're like, yeah, but it's going to be 2 movies. He was like, so $500,000.
Not $1 million.
But yeah, they shot both movies, which I just think is wild. Richard Donner shot 1 full movie and then like 85% of a second movie before the Salkins and his relationship kind of fell apart and they ended up replacing Donner. And so the second movie's technically not directed by him because then they ended up going back and reshooting enough that the second movie is 50% Donner, 50% the new person, because then you can claim it's the other director instead. There is a DVD release that has the Richard Donner cut of the movie, but it's missing some of the movie still, so it is a little strange.
Yeah.
But so that's kind of the narrative how this movie was made, which I just think is so
Nonsense.
interesting
Yeah.
and crazy.
Yeah.
And like the negative production deal, that's also crazy. And like they wanted Brando and Hackman to give the movie like
Gravitas.
clout. Yeah. But then they immediately had to shoot the scenes for both of them first because they were both
On a schedule because they're important.
because they both had such a limited schedule that they were like, all right, we've got to do just the Brando stuff, and then we've got to immediately do just the Hackman stuff, and then we can move on to do the rest of these 2 movies.
I gotta watch the second one now.
You have to, and the second one's yeah. I was watching the first one, I was like, oh, and then there's the scene where nope, that's in the next movie, like.
They're great, but they do just kind of go together. Really, it's
Because like this one opens with like Zod and the other people.
Yeah,
That's the second movie.
that's what I figured.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when nothing happened with that, I was like,
It's the second.
it's
movie.
the second movie,
It's
right?
like, yeah. And it was all written as one 500-page script, and they shot it all
I
as
mean,
one
Lois
movie.
and Clark didn't even kiss in this one. Obviously, there needs to be
He
more
kissed
in
her
this one.
dead body.
Yeah.
Sure.
So just because we were briefly talking about the beginning of the movie, I just want to mention because I think it's so cool. Those glowing suits
Yeah.
are 100% practical,
I thought
and they're not glowing; they're reflective.
reflective.
They're made of tiny like
So,
balls of glass or something.
what they are
yeah.
is they are thousands of tiny balls of glass. And if you touch them with your hands, they become non-reflective because the oils in your hands ruin the balls of glass. But what they are actually
Yeah.
is their rear projector screens.
I actually thought it was reflecting, not glowing.
Really cool,
I
yeah.
was like, it looks
There's
like
there's
they-
cool footage in the documentaries though of people handling them with gloves because you couldn't touch them or it would ruin them. It was really cool.
But yeah, so that they are kind of a fabric that exists because they're
Yeah.
projector screens. They're
Yeah.
silver screens.
They're so cool. It's cool too in some of the footage in the doc because when you see them before the lights come on them, they are just like a flat. I mean, because it's just a screen. It's nothing.
Yeah.
And then the lights come on. It's like, ooh, pretty.
shiny.
Yeah.
To talk about Star Wars connections because there are so many.
Yeah.
The lightsabers in Star Wars were made of the same thing so that when light hit
Yeah.
them, they'd reflect light.
So
It
cool.
was the exact
Yeah.
same technique used.
So smart.
Should we talk about Brando?
I mean, I feel like we've talked about Brando so much and everyone must know it, but I think it's one of those things a lot of people probably don't know about Brando, and it is like pretty much fact, isn't it? It's not
Oh, it
just
It is
rumors and
weird
myths.
how much our group has talked about Brando.
Me and Sam talk about Brando a lot.
You and Sam talk about Brando every time you see each other.
Let's
at
talk.
least.
Let's talk about Brando. Let's have the talk about
Let's
Brando.
have the Brando talk.
So
Okay.
everyone
Brando
knows.
time.
So, Brando isn't going to show up in the second movie, Amber.
Okay.
The reason being, Marlon Brando was paid $3.7 million plus a percentage of gross for 12 days of filming to film all of his scenes for both Superman 1 and 2.
So he was paid over 3 times what the director was paid to be there for 12 days when the director was there for almost 2 years.
Correct.
Cool. Just wanted to make sure we had that straight.
After the first movie came out, he sued the Salkins because he
course.
believed he wasn't given his proper cut of the profits of Superman 1.
Okay.
And he won his lawsuit in the fact that they couldn't use his footage in Superman 2. Now that he's dead and all that kind of stuff, and so Richard Donner's cut has him in it. But
Sneaky.
but he ended up making approximately $14 million for 12 days of his life and 10 minutes of screen time in one movie.
Because, he definitely worked the hardest of anyone involved in these films. So he definitely deserved the highest pay.
Well, he definitely didn't work the hardest. In that, even Christopher Reeves says that he was phoning it in, and it shows. That's apparently a quote. You know how we always talk about Brando and his cue cards?
Yep.
This is the movie we're talking about. Brando read all of his lines off a cue card because he told Donner the only way to make his lines fresh was if he said them for the first time ever when he was on set. And me and Lolo were noticing, if you look close at his eyeballs,
You can see them
you
moving.
can see
back
them
and forth.
scanning back
You
and
can see him
forth.
reading.
I mean,
Heaven forbid he act like he's saying the lines for the first time.
He also apparently, which like we do this a lot on our own sets, But apparently first day when they were like, we're going to do rehearsal, he asked if they could roll rehearsal because we might get lucky and that could be the end of our day.
I mean, we do roll rehearsals just in case, but
And apparently from that first day where he did that, they ended up using that first take because somehow he did get worse as the day went on.
Oh my goodness.
that's horrifying.
So that's all crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Amber will love this. Carrie Ewells was a PA on this film.
No.
And he was, in fact, the unfortunate PA that had the job of getting Brando to set each day.
Oh, ouch.
As in Princess Bride?
Yeah.
Carrie?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And Brando had a $1 million a day overage pay. So if they went over in time, he got paid $1 million.
And did he know this?
He did. So he had no incentive to leave his trailer. So Carrie would have to go to his trailer and try to convince Marlon Brando to come to set.
Whereas the incentive to not come to set was $1 million.
Correct.
Okay.
Wow.
So he's trying to be more persuasive every day than $1 million.
Correct. And for some reason, Brando refused to call Carrie Carrie. So for the 12 days of production, he just called him Rocky every day for no reason.
I am so glad that Carrie got to be in Princess Bride just as like a reward for
He earned that
He
karmically.
that role.
Also, me and Sam talk about this literally every day.
Yes.
We're obsessed with this story. This is the movie where Marlon Brando met with Richard Donner and said, I wonder if I could play Jor-El as a glowing, levitating green bagel. If not, maybe a green suitcase. Because no one knows what a Kryptonian might look like. And that he could then make his son look human when he sends him to Earth.
Which, was this just Marlon not wanting to have to ever be on a set?
Brando then said that we also don't know what Kryptonians sound like. So he could, what if instead of talking, he just made bleeps and bloops like R2-D2?
So Marlon Brando wanted to get paid to do nothing for the movie?
Supposedly, Donner reacted negatively to this, and Brando says it was all a test.
A test to
Says
see
the
how far he could
man
push the
Who
director?
reads cue cards?
Yeah. I'm glad that they invented the earpiece for him later. You know what I mean? Like, which, like, some people work really well with earpieces. And, like, SNL does fine with cue cards because that's, like, the system.
Well, that's because they have a week to make
Yeah.
a show.
And it's, like, a sketch comedy format.
yeah.
But, like, I do see, like, the earpiece has worked. Like, Brando uses an earpiece in Apocalypse Now, which I've never seen, but I'm told it's one of his best acting performances of all time. Robert Downey Jr. actually wears an earpiece a lot in many of his films and is very adamant that that's how he gets his real acting, his
They
real
used
performances.
earpieces in Amadeus for one scene. They used it for because that film has so many technical lines and musical jargon.
Yeah, what scene did they use?
The scene where Mozart's in bed dictating to Salieri. I don't remember who it was. Someone who knows music was feeding Mozart lines.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And so, like, there are benefits to the earpiece, but, like, the cue cards just does feel a little late.
I think both, depending on the motivation behind using it, either makes it or just makes you a lazy human. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Well, I
Like-
think it's also like a little different because unless you are a musician, some of those words and technical terms, no matter how many times you run through the script, might just fly out of your head. And
It
you want to
also
make sure you
sounded
get
like
them.
that scene was a little like...
Yeah. So I can see using it in that scene. But if it's just in general, you're like, I don't want to memorize lines. I don't get that fully.
I mean, I do understand the idea of, like, right now I have no clue what I'm going to say next. So I get the idea of being like, well, I'm going to go to set and have that same feeling. So that way when they're talking, I have to fully listen to what they're saying. And then when it's my turn to talk, I'm thinking of those words, but instead of being able to think in those words, the words are being set into my brain, which is kind of like me thinking a word that I'm going to say next, and then I get to say it.
Yeah, but see, the thing about making movies is you're not just trying... You're...
Well, the thing of being an actor is you are trying to do that. You are trying to act and be as if you're a real person doing it for the first time ever.
Yeah, but you just said your job is to act, not to exist as a human. That I can go make a documentary if I want to film people existing as humans. Your job is to create a story.
I think this is another
You
tool
know?
for creating a story.
Okay.
I was just going to share my thoughts on it as an actor. For me, at least, I think that would be difficult because, how do I say this exactly? I mean, in real time, I'm experiencing emotions with what I'm saying too. And this might sound strange, but I like to know the lines so that I'm also aware of what emotions I need to be going into. Because it's not just someone feeding me words that I then say and it feels real and in the moment. It's also that character might be getting angry as they say those lines, but as I'm hearing them in my ear, I'm not knowing like, oh, this is like angry or this is, I don't know. I feel like it's harder to make the emotions real with it then. I'd have a hard time not feeling like I'm just repeating. I'd feel a little stressed and not in myself. And then the other thing that I was going to say is I think it also, that idea of like I'm a person and I'm saying things, and I think also very much depends on the character. Because if you have a character that's supposed to be like one step ahead of someone, always, you know, kind of thinking about what they're going to say a lot and premeditated ideas and words and feelings, I don't think that the way that they speak would feel in the moment. Or even depending on the type of person that they are, just because like I know as a human, I think about what I'm about to say way too long before I say it. So that wouldn't make sense if an actor was playing me. I feel like to do the earpiece, because I think that to realistically, I don't know, play someone like me, you would memorize your lines and really have them like down in your head before you speak.
I could be wrong. There could be movies I've seen and loved where the actors did that, but I doubt it. I just feel like you might sometimes capture a really raw, magical moment in a scene, but I feel like that's very like small-minded thinking, because as an actor and a director and a writer, like as the writer and director, you've crafted this larger arc than one moment. And as an actor, you need to be prepared to give the best moment necessary for every scene of the movie in contrast to each other as well to create a full arc. And I just feel like you can't do that if you don't know what the fuck is going on.
So just to be devil's advocate in this scenario.
Sure, yeah.
Please do.
I would say that's not your job as an actor. That's the director's job. And so if you're an actor and like that's the system that you want to put in place to get the best performance that you think you can get out, and the director is willing to work with that, and they have that whole view in head, like in their mind, like of what the whole story is, the whole story arc of the piece, I think it can be a system that works. I think it's weird. I don't know if I would even want to try it or do it, but I'm not saying that one person's like style is inherently incorrect.
I think maybe I'm a little biased because the only person I've heard about being a big advocate for not wanting to know their lines in advance is Brando, who from other stories surrounding him feels like, and I could be wrong, it's coming from this lazy, arrogant, ego-driven place. It doesn't feel like it's a true, like,
oh, definitely,
improv artist reality. And so I think that perhaps has unfairly biased me against the earpiece acting, but I also just don't see any actual benefit to it.
I think Brando has definitely put a bad taste, even in my own like mouth, about earpieces and just like that, because of like his other attitudes around things.
Yeah.
And just like the way he kind of became, because I do also love Brando, and I do love some early Brando work, and I would love to watch like On the Waterfront with You, and Streetcar Named Desire. And I think he's incredible. I think Brando's an incredible actor.
Yeah.
But then I think he became old and kooky and tired and fucking weird.
Something that I thought about, which like this is, again, you could look at it from either angle, because I've seen some amazing improv artists where they're just making stuff up and it's hilarious. But for me, I know with like a comedy and I'm studying my lines, something that I'm thinking about is I'll sometimes say it one way and it's kind of funny, and then I'll find another way to say it and it's the same words and it's so much funnier just from me kind of like sitting with it. And I guess it's not as raw then, but I can sometimes find ways to make it funnier when it's not in the moment, and I've had a little bit of time to think about it.
I think I would just compare also just, I don't know, to keep arguing this, just beat this horse to death. I don't fucking know. For way too long, and everyone has clicked away from this podcast at this point. It's like when you write a script, you don't shoot the first pass. You keep working it until it's the best it can be. So I just feel like the acting perspective of like wanting to come in totally raw and not know what's going on and just hear it for the first time and be in the moment. I get that's like real life, but that's not what you're making. And so I feel like to not want to hone it to the best delivery it can possibly be and get to that place where you know the material so well that you're back to a point of freshness is like shooting the first draft of a script. Like that's just not, like, why would you do that when you have the potential to make it better?
I think I just disagree with you. And I think that's just where it's going to
That's
be.
fine. We can disagree. We can move on then.
Yeah, because I'm just never going to agree with this. Because I
just want to be an earpiece actor, or you just
no, I don't think it's a style that I want to do.
Yeah.
But I don't want to write off somebody else's style, and I do understand creatively where it comes from. I understand the desire. I even think I understand how it could be useful. Like, I mean, personally, there are times where I've read through a script, like read it out loud for the first time as an actor. Mm-hmm. And the emotion is so much more there because it's for the first time, like, oh, I'm learning this thing. I'm learning this thing. And I have all these emotions for the first time and I can feel all of that. And then the second time you read it, you're like, oh, now I have to like remember all these emotions. I have to bring them back up. And then like the third time you're like, oh my God, now I have to bring them back up a third time. And so I get that like, the traditional thought on it is to memorize all of that so intensely that then you can reproduce it and say it as if it's the first time ever. And I think that comes from a theater background.
Yeah.
And that's what we've all been taught.
Yeah. But
I do understand that a lot of acting is about presenting truth. Even in comedy, it's about presenting truth. And the more truthful it is, the funnier it is. And the more truthful it is, the more emotional it is. And so if the way that you present truth is by being less memorized and more in the moment, because improv doesn't work unless you're in the moment.
Yeah.
And acting also only works if you're in the moment. And if the way that you can be in the moment is through an earpiece, I think that that's a fine system of trying to do that.
Okay. One last point and we can move on.
Okay. Also, like I said, Robert Downey Jr. is a huge proponent of the earpiece. Okay. And I think Johnny Depp does too, but I don't remember. Okay. But I'm certain Robert does.
Okay. I'm just one last thing about why a big reason I think I as a director would not want to work with that personally.
Okay.
I get what you're saying. Sure, I shouldn't criticize people's methods. If that gives you a great performance, that's awesome. But the thing about filmmaking is that, like, even though we act like they are, the actor is one piece in hundreds that is making a scene come together. So I, as a director, with crew that's been there for hours setting up and cameramen breaking their backs and so many moving pieces, I don't want to have an actor that's going to have one or two good takes. And if we're out of focus or an extra's in the wrong spot or the boom dips in or there's something unfixable that they don't have the ability to be consistent for the 100 other people who are working on this piece of art. So that would, I think, scare me because there's just so many components. And I think if you're in a situation where like you can let the actor be like that, but that's a lot to like give to one person for things so many are working on.
I get what you're saying, but like you don't know that system works for them 100 times. You don't know that they can't 100 times do a scene and just fully, because like you're not going to memorize it, hearing it in your head and then saying it out loud.
Yeah.
You're definitely not going to memorize it the first time.
Yeah.
And you're probably not going to have it memorized by the end of the day. Okay. Especially if you're fully listening to that other person. I'm not going to be even thinking about what I'm hearing, what I'm saying. I'm going to be thinking about what they're saying and then responding. And I think that that's what acting is. Okay. We're just going to disagree.
We're going to disagree on this for forever. All right. For the third time, I'll say we can move on then.
But you and Amber are on the same team, and I'm outnumbered. That's fine.
I love disagreeing. I'll disagree all day, but we should move on because people probably get tired of listening to us disagree.
Not really. No, now I'm just realizing that I don't live my life the way that actors are trying to make in movies.
Well, most people don't. Most people don't actually listen fully to what other people are saying.
No,
and
I was
engage.
just thinking
Oh.
about well, this has nothing to do with it. But I was just remembering a day where we had an actor drop out, and I had to step into the role really fast, and I didn't have any of the lines memorized, and so I was kind of reading them out of the corner of my eye while we were doing other people's shots. And this really isn't me trying to brag or anything. I was just saying, like, I don't know if the earpiece system would literally work for me, because even though I was trying to be very in the moment and I was distracted and a million things were going on, I had my lines and everyone around me's lines memorized by the end of the day, because I don't know what the word is for it, where like you hear something once and you kind of like have it in your head.
Yeah.
Because like I can watch a movie once and it's all up there. And so like, I literally think I would
would actually only have one fresh take.
I would only have one fresh take. I really think I would.
And then you'd know.
So I just don't think it would literally work for me. I'm not sure how I feel about it as a style. I agree. I think it would make me nervous as a director, but I think that is also coming from a place of we all wear a lot of hats and we've all been on both sides of it. So I don't know how it would look to me if I was only an actor, only ever acted, wasn't a writer, director, crew. Like it might look different to me and stuff. But I just thought it was funny in my own head thinking, I literally don't know if it'd work. I think I'd have the first take and that would be the only fresh one. That'd be like, okay.
I also, if anyone listening has an example where they're like, this movie, this actor, earpiece the whole fucking time, go watch it. I will. If it's incredible, like, I'd love to see that and admit, like, oh, well, it fucking worked there. You're right. Okay. You know?
Yeah.
But, like, I would love some examples. If anybody knows who definitely wears an earpiece all the time.
I know Downey does it sometimes.
Okay.
So that's all I know.
Yeah.
All right. So to talk about Gene Hackman.
Yeah, tell us about Gene Hackman.
Gene Hackman didn't want to do this movie either. Gene Hackman thought that this movie was going to be campy and cheesy and dumb, and that people would never take him seriously again, and it would ruin his serious acting career because he was a serious actor.
Well, it didn't ruin it because I love him in The Birdcage.
Me too.
He actually, after doing this movie, took a couple of years off from acting because he was like nervous and like worried about what he had to do next, and like there was a lot of nervousness about this film.
Huh.
He also had a mustache when this started, and Lolo knows this story.
I love this story. You'll love this story.
So he had a mustache, and him and Donner had talked on the phone about it, and he was like, mustache? And Hackman was like, I'd really like to keep it. And then on the first day they got on set, Donner had a mustache and was like, all right, Gene, I really need you to cut that mustache off. Would you shave it off if I shave mine off? And Hackman was like, yeah, I'll do that. And Hackman went, he got his shaved off, and then he came to Donner, and Donner still had his mustache, and he was like, you got to do it, man. He was like, all right, I will. And he peeled off the mustache that he had glued to his face that morning.
Oh my God. That's staying one step ahead of the actors that could kill you.
Yes, it's because he's got that bust to remind him.
Yeah.
You gotta stay one step ahead.
What is it with Superman and mustaches? There's always some kind of conflict.
You're right, because Henry Cavill couldn't. I think he could. Well, except for they could have fucking glued one on, but it's fine.
He couldn't because he was in contract with a different film, and that film's contract had precedent over the Warner Brothers contract.
Isn't it great to see filmmakers working together so well to help each other that they couldn't glue a fucking mustache on him, which would have been so much easier than digitally removing it and ruining his acting for the whole movie.
Contract and producers were not willing to let him out.
So the people who do fake peel off faces couldn't put a mustache on him.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't wanna.
Yeah, but that's just
They're
so
like,
dickish.
No, he's my
I mean, it
actor
does
now.
add production cost to your production for nothing from the other production.
It's called being nice. And not ruining your actor's acting in the other movie. Like, CGIing his top lip definitely affected the perceived performance he gives in that movie. Like,
Yeah.
they do a really good job, but it's kind of stiff. So you're hurting Henry Cavill. I don't know.
Yeah.
I understand why logically you don't let him shave the mustache. I just think it's real dickish.
You're just saying that Superman would say to be kind
Yes, and help
and
people.
help one another.
Shave the mustache.
Hackman also did not want to be perceived as bald. So I don't know if you noticed, but Lex Luthor is not bald for much of the film.
He is not.
He's
implied bald the whole film.
He at first refused to wear a bald cap. So they came up with the idea of having all the wigs around to imply the baldom and to style his hair different in every scene. And Hackman was okay with that. And then by the end of filming, Donner got him around to, okay, you'll just wear the bald cap for one moment and you can even wear hair over it and then we'll take it off for just a couple seconds. And Hackman ended up turning around to it. And like watching Hackman talk in interviews about this movie is weird because you can tell he was like, he even says, he's like, I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do it. But you can also tell he's like, I'm really glad I did do it.
Yeah.
And like, he really loves Richard Donner. And he was willing to do like, because like shaving his mustache, he would have never done.
Yeah.
And like pretending he was bald, he would have never done. And being in a Superman movie, he didn't even really want to do. But like, Dick Donner convinced him that like, it was all going to be okay. And it was. It was all okay.
I mean, that's any film. Like, if you don't trust the director,
You're so
that's
right.
the only thing that matters is that people trust the director.
It is funny to me just like talking about projects and acting and stuff because I've heard quite a few stories actually from actors being like, I was nervous about doing this project and I thought it was going to ruin my career. And then it was like one of the most important projects I ever did. And then other actors who like do a movie and are like, oh, it's going to be amazing. And then it bombs.
Yeah.
And how sometimes the ones that you're like, oh God, this is going to ruin everything are the ones that completely rewrite history, cinema history, you know?
I think really you just need to be like, does this sound fun? Okay, I'll do it. Does this sound fun? No, I'm not going to do it. Because, like, yeah, you get too caught up in, like, oh, is it ruin my career? Like, just calm down.
Yeah. To circle back to Brando, I got
Yeah.
distracted because we got into a huge fight.
We did. A heated debate.
The one cool thing about Brando is apparently it was his idea to have the Superman S on Jor-El's chest that had never been in the comics before. And Brando posited the idea that like maybe the S is like a family thing and like maybe all of them wear it and all this stuff. And like because of this movie and because of that idea, it's now comic book canon that the S is a house symbol for the L's.
I knew it was comic book canon. I didn't know it started with the movie.
Started with this movie.
Okay, all right.
And like honestly, like a lot of like the crystalline stuff of like Krypton, which is now very much in the comics, it got added in post the 70s because of the crystals in this. And like Smallville uses crystals a lot. The comics use crystals a lot for information and
So that was
stuff like
part
that.
of the artistic design of this film that was not pulled from the comics.
Big fan of the crystals. 10 out of 10.
It was more of like a future world, like Jetsons-y in the
Yeah.
30s, and now it's very, very crystalline.
I mean, it was visually fascinating and stunning and otherworldly.
Well, they're supposed to be advanced, and I do believe in the future.
Yeah.
It's crystals.
It's all crystals.
Crystals.
I have just a really cute piece of trivia
Yeah.
that I just think is adorable. It's not even like really about the film, hardly.
Oh, I think this might have been trivia you told me a long time ago that I was thinking about during this movie. I wonder if it is.
So Vic Armstrong is a super awesome, kick-ass stuntman who doubled for. He did a bunch of Bond.
I mean, isn't his
work.
like book called like The Greatest Stuntman or something like that?
The World's Greatest Stuntman is the title of his autobiography. Okay, but he did double Bond, Indiana Jones, Superman, and then he stunt choreographed and designed and directed like a fuck ton of movies and became a filmmaker in his own right.
Cool.
But what I think is just adorable is that him and Wendy Leach, who was the stunt woman for Lois Lane in this and did a fuck ton of other stuff, including C-3PO and just a whole bunch of shit. And I think even stunt directed on, was in the new Wonder Woman movies. Like they're still fucking like huge. On Superman, when they stunt doubled Superman and Lois Lane, they were not yet married. And they worked together in this movie, and then like it continued, they got married. I just think it's adorable that Superman and Lois Lane got married in real life.
That's cute.
Yeah, I remember when you first got that book and I was very young, and at that time still got very freaked out by any stories of stunts or violence. And I came to you and I was like, is there anything cute in that book? Because you were so into it and you were telling me all these stories I couldn't really handle.
Oh, it's
and then,
very,
yeah, it was very intense and I like couldn't handle it. And I was like, aren't there any cute stories in your book? And you were like, there is one. And you told me, yeah, about the Lois Lane and Superman really did fall in love. And I was like, ah, and then I ran away because I was 9.
They did a really good job on the stunts in this film. They'd gotten pretty good at stunts by this point. But it's still like the helicopter scene where it's hanging off the roof.
Yeah.
Like, for that, they were not still, but for this film, they used fucking cardboard boxes, which they used to use constantly for stunts, even though they'd just started to kind of use the inflatable airbags. Someone involved in this film, I don't remember who, had recently broken their shoulder using inflatable bags. So they're like, no, we're going to go back to boxes. Boxes are better than the inflatables. So that helicopter, they rigged it up full scale, 80 feet above the ground to shoot it. And fucking Wendy Leach did that stunt, no wires, hanging just by her arms off those straps, and then fell 80 feet onto cardboard boxes like a boss to get the start of her fall. She just did an 80-foot drop to get the beginning of that half-second beat in the movie, if that wide.
Do you want a morbid piece of trivia I didn't write down because it's morbid?
Okay.
So the original location to film the helicopter stunt, they ended up having to change because someone got decapitated in a helicopter accident at that location, and they're like, it's fucking weird to film like a fake helicopter accident where someone died.
That's in good taste, I guess, to at least move it.
I'm always surprised by how often I hear stories about people and getting decapitated with helicopters. Like, I hear about accidents like that a lot.
They're giant blades right above your head.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that like...
Well, no, I don't know. I'm not criticizing the people that happens to, like, that's terrible, but I'm not, but just like I heard
she's like, why did they stand up straight? What's wrong with them?
Fucking helicopter idiots over here.
I was just like, I would be crawling on the ground after hearing one of those stories every time I got on a helicopter.
Amber's like, I'm not going near any helicopters. Amber's like, I don't even want to be the president because he's around too many helicopters. I was thinking about being the president, and they're like, look at all those helicopters around him.
I was like, we really need a female president. I can't.
Yeah. It's just the helicopters.
This is the helicopters.
Nothing else is stopping you.
They're like, why? They're giant blades.
Who has knives spinning above their head? I don't know why I just went to Seinfeld. Who has knives? That was Mickey.
Whoa. Are Seinfeld and Mickey like a half octave away from the same voice?
I think so. I think they are.
Why is it all about voices and teaching people impressions tonight?
I don't know. Yeah.
All right. Superman trivia.
Okay.
Oh, talking about voices. This is perfect.
Oh, good.
All of young Clark talking is ADR done by Christopher Reeve.
That's what I thought.
Okay, yeah.
That actor did not know.
Oh. That sucks.
He was very upset.
Was it sort of a singing in the rain moment?
I think so.
That's not my voice.
That's how it sounded. Like he saw the movie and was like, oh.
Really?
Especially because they did like, he has a prosthetic nose and like hairpiece and a couple other things to make him look more like Christopher Reeve. He spent 3 hours in a chair to then go act, and he like does a good job.
No, yeah, he's great.
But we don't even get his voice.
Yeah, it really works for the film though.
It does. And Christopher Reeve does a great like third voice.
Yeah. He does 3 voices in that movie.
He does.
He's incredible.
'Cause it's still like different when he's young. Because watching it, I was like, man, it's like he sounds different and younger, but it does sound like Christopher Reeve.
Yeah. Christopher Reeve is so incredible. And like I love that scene where he like takes his glasses off and stands up straight and Lois is the partner. And then he like changes back to, oh, well, Lois. Like, it's so great.
Which, watching that with the whole playing 2 different roles, and this is such a staple in cinema, so it wouldn't be, I think, that off to say, I wonder if there were some cues or acting. Because another movie that I feel like does a really good job of an actor playing 2 different people is Meet Joe Black. And
I've never seen Meet Joe Black.
Yeah. So I'm not going to say much, but just some of the things that Brad Pitt does in that reminded me of some of the ways that Christopher Reeve
yeah.
acts in this.
I am
yeah.
so much more intrigued to see Meet Joe Black now.
Oh.
Because I have no clue what the fuck you're talking about.
We should stop talking
We should
and
stop
do that.
then. We
soon
should
then.
do
I didn't know
that.
you had that little knowledge of that film.
I know nothing about Meet Joe Black.
Okay,
Yeah,
we're done.
we're done.
Okay.
We're done.
I didn't know that. Oh,
I'm
okay,
very
cool.
excited if that gets him to watch it, though.
I didn't. Yeah, cool. All right. Well, don't read anything about it anywhere, or you'll.
Don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm so confused right now.
Cool.
So we'll go back to Christopher.
Yeah.
Christopher Reeve and how great he is.
Yeah.
So he said that he based Clark Kent and his like mannerisms, his acting, acting for Clark Kent is actually based on Cary Grant, and specifically
Okay.
Cary Grant's performance in one movie,
Okay.
Bringing Up Baby.
I knew it.
I thought,
Oh, I should have said it. And
I
then
thought
got
about
scared,
asking.
and then I got scared I'd be dumb and
I
wrong.
thought it was either that or Monkey Business.
I thought it would be Bringing Up Baby.
Yeah.
But that's what he's doing. He's doing his Cary Grant and Bringing Up Baby impression.
That's
Yep.
amazing.
Yep.
I love how many actors I've actually heard about, and when asked, they were like, "Oh, I was just doing my Cary Grant impression." Like I've heard that a couple times now in interviews.
I mean, like when I was in high school, I think one of the best bits of acting advice I got from my high school acting teacher was that James Gandolfini and Johnny Depp both do this for a lot of their acting like ideas, is that they'll find two opposite characters and try to do their impression of both of them while doing their own character, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
So like
We'll pick two inspirations that aren't seemingly similar.
so like Jack Sparrow is like Keith Richards and then someone else.
Yeah.
And that's like how he got Jack Sparrow.
Yeah, I remember reading about that.
And so like that's like I still do that sometimes. I'll be like, all right, so they're kind of this character and that character.
Yeah.
And then I'll like kind of create a new thing.
That really makes sense because even when I'm creating characters and writing, I like them to have some part of them that's completely opposite that just kind of helps make them feel like more of a real person. So
Yeah.
that works. Yeah.
Yeah, it's genius. And also like, yeah, if you just need to play something that's like more archetypal, like you just pick something that's an archetype like Cary Grant Bringing a Baby.
That's amazing. I love that.
And then when he's Superman, that's just what Christopher's like.
That's him in real life.
That's what I assume he is. I mean, they do say that the reason that Christopher's so good at being Superman is because he is an avid hang glider enthusiast. He hang glides a lot.
Okay.
Pre-Superman, he used to like go hang gliding all the time. And they were like, when we got him up in the like harnesses and
rigging.
stuff, he just like moved his body like he was flying because like
He does.
he's felt it. He's flown.
Oh my God, he does fly.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah. They're like, yeah, he'll like move his body to bank it, and you're like, oh, that's how he would like that.
That's how you would bang.
Yeah.
That's fascinating because it does feel very real how it would look
Yeah.
if a human flew.
Margot Kidder also made fun of him in the featurettes because he like Christopher is so serious when he's acting, and he stays in character throughout the setups and everything, and he's like very serious. And Margot Kidder was like, I wanted to like flick his codpiece and like like tell jokes and do shit, and we'd be like stuck up in these harnesses for hours, and like I'd be joking around and flailing around and like doing stupid shit, and he would just be like so mad and like, can't you just be serious?
Oh my God.
And he would just like sit there with his little like Superman pose, and he was just like so like serious.
Christopher Reeves' stunt double, Vic Armstrong, also talks about how like not quite method, but very like committed to being in character and being Superman Christopher Reeve was. Because he said that was really what he felt like. Christopher Reeve wanted to do all his own stunts. And Vic didn't feel like it was like some actors were like macho because they want to be tough and cool. He's like, no, he was Superman. So he felt he needed to be Superman in all the shots because he was Superman to the point that he would get like huffy. And there was one scene that Vic was getting in costume to shoot for the second movie for the fight with the big baddies.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where Superman gets thrown into a car windshield and the windshield shatters. And so they were not going to let Christopher do that. And so Vic was getting in costume, and Christopher walked by and then saw Vic was getting in costume. He's like, what are you doing? And he got all like mad. And Vic was like, I'm about to go do the car stunt. Christopher's like, no, I'm doing that stunt. And Frank's like, no, you're not. And Christopher just supposedly got all huffy and huffed away and walked away and left. But he stayed to like watch the stunt be done still. And Vic said they strapped a metal plate to his back with a spike in it in the hopes that the spike would crack the windshield when he hit it for real. And then they put him on wires and they just
Yanked him
into the car. And he said the first time he hit the fender enough that he went head over heels, banging himself up over the back of the car. And the second time he was too high and clipped the top of the car and went flailing backwards onto the ground. And then the third time they were like, no, we're good, we'll get it. He's like, I'm just like beat to hell because you're just throwing me into a car with a metal plate on my back. It's like third time they did adjust and I hit the windshield and the spike went into the windshield and it shattered. It's great. It's the shot in the movie. And he said, after that one though, Christopher came up to me and was like, yeah, I'm glad you did that one, man. Thanks. You were right.
I mean, that's, yeah. Wow.
At least the guy knows when to admit he was wrong.
He was like, oh yeah, maybe I didn't want to do that
Also,
one.
like, Christopher is like a saint, just like real life saint.
Yeah.
And at one point he literally like fractured his spine and became paralyzed from the legs down. I don't know if you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he was still like doing charity work. He still
yeah.
acts in Smallville, and all that money went to charity work.
Everyone he
Yeah.
agrees
Like-
he's a great guy. His stunt guy was never like mad or thought he was rude
Yeah.
or anything at all.
No,
He
I know.
just-
I just wanted to just like
Yeah,
mention that
he's-
Christopher Reeve
yeah.
is
Saint.
Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's just an absolute saint. And rest in peace to him and Dick Donner and just like and the
It's
DP
just
and
incredible.
at this point Marlon Brando and
Yeah.
Just
Who we make fun of, but was also
for...
fucking incredible. Marlon
Yeah.
Brando was. Yeah, he's great.
also so the Superman suit
Yeah.
is specifically that color blue because of blue screen, and a lot of the effects were still done on blue screen at the time, and they needed a blue that was different than the blue screen blue. And that's why it's like that powder blue,
It's a little
teal
lighter.
blue. Yeah. Because it wasn't gonna be darker initially, and in the test
They
footage,
couldn't separate
it's a
it.
darker blue, and yeah, they couldn't separate it off the blue screen, so that's why it's that color.
Cool.
Yeah. A bit of trivia that Lolo is excited about.
Yeah.
Because during the film, I kind of just pointed out a moment, and I don't know if you caught it, Amber, but after Superman and Lois's date, when they go flying together,
Yes.
Yeah.
which on their date, that like kind of weird but like works monologue
Yeah.
of Can You Read My Mind?
The poem.
Well, originally she was going to sing a song, and there was like a whole song break, and then they like decided to like go with this weird
more
spoken word poem
low-key.
thing, and
Yeah.
like a little more low key, and it's kind of beautiful
cool.
and like
Yeah.
weird, and I like it.
Yeah.
But after their date, Superman drops her off, and then he goes, "All right, bye, Lois," and he flies off, right?
Yeah.
And then in the same shot, they do not cut.
Yeah.
She walks to the door, and it's Clark Kent.
Yeah.
Fucking magic!
It's incredible.
That's movie magic.
It gives you the feeling of experiencing what she's experiencing, and he's
Yeah.
really magic.
Yeah. I did know. I noticed you two talking about something, but I didn't hear exactly what it was. Yeah.
There's-
That's straight take.
That's a
He's
straight take.
Superman
Yeah.
to
That's a straight
Clark.
take. There is no cut.
Yeah.
He's Superman, then he's Clark Kent.
I mean, the cinematography is amazing.
It is.
Superman in that shot?
Is it the double?
No.
Oh.
He's rear projection.
That's a video?
That's a video.
So he's not even there?
No.
So she's acting against a screen, and then she acts against Christopher.
She walks away from a rear projection of Superman flying away from her, and then she walks over to Christopher as Clark on the other side of the set.
That's genius. Because putting in the extra work to not have to cut there creates such a feeling, whether or not you distinctly notice the lack of a cut.
Yeah.
Like, it's incredible. He's there and he's there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great.
Isn't that awesome?
Genius.
Well done.
Also, like, sometimes the simplest solutions,
Yeah.
you know?
Usually. Yeah.
I mean, it's like Mandalorian's moving back to using rear projection.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it just does work.
It's like closer to practical. It's like as close to practical as you can get without being practical, in the sense that, like, I feel
yeah,
like
it's better than green screen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's better than building it completely fake after.
Yeah. I only have 2 more pieces of trivia. They're both really fun. But they're also like not as like, I don't know, they're weird. I don't know why I'm doing this.
Bring it on.
the end title sequence that we were watching, and then we stopped to record this.
Yes.
When this movie came out, these were the longest end title credits ever.
So really starting that trend for superhero movies.
That's what I wrote in my notes.
That's all the superhero movies. It takes so many people to...
Well, I mean, they had 11 different film crews filming almost simultaneously at certain times.
Wow.
to shoot these two movies at once.
They
There were
started that
11
trend,
units.
and then that was where later on people were like, "We're gonna put some fucking end credit scenes in here or something."
I really think that's why those exist, is just because
Yeah.
they're like, we should try to force them to watch all these names.
I've always felt that.
Well,
Yeah.
that's great.
I do too. I think we should make more.
We
We should
should
force people to watch them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of fucking people worked really hard.
Yeah. And then the last bit of trivia that I kind of wanted to share at the beginning, because Amber mentioned a thing similar to it. Because Amber mentioned Spielberg, and we'd already talked about Lucas and Lucas being offered to film this, and the connection there, and Donner then did film it, and
Oh, this is good trivia too.
and Donner and Spielberg became good friends later because Spielberg produced some of Donner's films, and they all did Goonies together.
Yeah.
Lucas wasn't there, but the two of them did Goonies together with Chris Columbus, actually. So that's a perfect trifecta of filmmaking. Just
Donner, Spielberg, and Columbus.
yeah,
Jesus Christ.
I know. I just it's just three dudes that I've looked up to my whole life, making a movie.
It's whatever.
But Spielberg was actually approached about directing Superman.
Oh my god.
This is so good.
So they approached Spielberg, and the story goes, apparently Spielberg asked for too much money, and they were like, no, we can't give you that much money. Jaws hasn't even come out yet. No one's seen your movie. And so apparently the producers were like, I mean, maybe if Jaws does okay, down the road we'd be interested in
He
hiring
wasn't
you.
even Spielberg yet, and they offered him Superman, and he was like, I want a lot of money, though.
Okay, so just to talk, just a quick little thought.
He was like, I'm gonna be... No.
Just a quick. There are two kinds of people in the world, and that is George Lucas, while making Star Wars, looking at the Jaws shark that was actually malfunctioning all the time,
Yeah, it
going,
didn't work.
I'm never going to make a good movie, and I'm never going to be anybody. And Spielberg, with his malfunctioning shark, going, I want all the money in the world because I am going places.
That is that's the definition of big dick energy.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're offering me a nobody Superman? How much money comes with it? Because I'll rock that shit.
I mean, have you seen Duel?
And he's like, have you seen Jaws? No, we haven't, because it hasn't come
And he's
out
like,
yet.
well, it's gonna be
great.
Amber's over there being like, what the fuck is Duel? Which
Oh, no, I know it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Duel is good, but I don't know that I would give him Superman.
Yeah.
And $1 million. Or however much. I
apparently
don't know how much he asked
wanted
for.
more.
You wanted more than that. That was what they were
Or
offering.
he at least wanted more than they offered him.
Yeah, it's true. It's true that they might have offered
They might have
him.
offered him less than they offered Richard Donner.
Because, I mean, they'd seen The Omen, at least.
Yeah. They hadn't
Jaws
seen a
hadn't
big
come out
film
yet.
from Spielberg.
Which then, let's just talk about, this time period where they're, producing Superman, and there is no Jaws. There is no Star Wars. There is no Superman. Fucking movies changed.
Yeah.
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 I mean, everyone talks about Jaws changing cinema and the fact that it invented the blockbuster. It invented the summer blockbuster. And, Superman came out at Christmas because it couldn't come out.
They couldn't make the deadline.
They
for
couldn't
summer.
make the... I mean, in the featurette, they said they were editing, 10 weeks.
He said they were shooting
Oh, yeah.
10 or 8 weeks before the release. For the release, they were still had footage coming.
Nope.
For this one, which they were also at that same time shooting 2, and then this came out, and then they kept shooting 2 because it still hadn't been finished. And then him and the Salkins couldn't get along enough to the fact that they couldn't be on set at the same time.
Wow.
And so then they got a different guy. But we should watch 2 because 2 is fucking amazing.
What to say? Sounds like I need to watch
Yeah.
two.
No,
There's also a super long cut of 1 that's even longer than
He says
this.
4 hours.
Yeah, I hear it's I haven't watched it, but I hear it's 4 hours long. And I've got the DVD of it. And then I've got both 2 and the Richard Donner cut of 2. And then there's 3 and 4, and they're terrible, and it's awesome. Richard Pryor's in one of them.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
I also just want to mention very briefly, which we haven't seen 2 yet, there have been a lot of movies, but it's not every movie, and it's still not a lot of movies you see today. Just like such strong women.
Yeah.
Because like Lois Lane is fucking incredible in this, and then you've got the really scary alien chick in the second one, whose name I forget, who is just insane and badass and scary.
I mean, Margot Kidder has come out complaining about the way Lois Lane is treated in the new DC movies, and about how she's mad that Lois Lane has become a damsel in distress.
I mean, yeah.
It is funny how this movie does a better job than others. Like even her saying the newer ones, you know, turning her into a damsel in distress, and something
damsel in distress.
Something that Lolo, you and I have talked about before that we've seen a lot is that a lot of like sci-fi movies and some of the more fantastical ones do a better job of representing that. I mean, we had Leia Organa in Star Wars, you know, coming out before that and stuff, and all these great representations of women, and sometimes the ones that people wrote off as like, oh, it's the weird sci-fi, you know, or Superman movie.
Yeah, she's just so cool. And
yeah.
It's just such a great, well fleshed out, just like not what a lady should be character. She's like, how do you spell massacre? And he's like, there's only one P in rapist, Lois. It's just such good like writing, and she's so great.
And like even when she's around Superman and clearly so like starstruck, still being like, oh right, so anyway,
and like she's really like the one that's like flirting into it, you know what I mean? It's not like she's like, oh, I'm so girly and she's like, so what color's my underpants?
Yeah.
Like,
which I also just want to say,
and then he tells her, and then if you watch the blocking, she moves back in front of the lead.
Yeah,
so like,
I noticed that.
You can't look anymore. Like,
which that also, I just want to say, having watched so many of the screen tests, that huge credit goes to the casting director and the director and the producers, not just Margot and the script, because they saw a lot of women that would have
did play it.
Been a damsel in distress, and it would not have been a feminist role with some of the directions that some of the screen tests were taken. It would not have been, and they went with the woman who just like storms into a room. They chose that actress because they were not all that.
And I think that's awesome the way that she does it, because obviously she's in distress multiple times in the movie, but every time she just seems so mad, and as soon as it's over, she's just like, ah.
My favorite Lois Lane scene, though, is the scene that they use for the Stockard Channing test scene that's in the second movie. Yeah. I'll just say it's the hotel scene, and when you get there, Amber, favorite Lois Lane scene. I love it so much, and I can't wait to see Superman 2.
Yeah. Apparently we should have done a double feature.
I guess. We've already talked so long over just one movie. True. Well, kind of over two, though, because they shot them together.
Yeah.
So
we've talked about it a lot.
For
I mean, even just the scene in the alleyway, she punches the guy trying to take her purse.
And then
is it really worth $10 2 credit cards and lipstick, Lois?
Yeah.
Well, this was a blast.
This was a blast. Yeah. It was a very long blast, but it was a blast.
Yeah. Make sure that thank you for listening.
Yeah, if you've stuck with us this long. Wow. No, this was a really great movie. Thank you so much for guesting so that we could watch this movie.
This was great. I'm glad I finally saw it.
Yeah. So glad to talk about Dick Donner's masterpiece, Superman.
Yeah.
It's a great time to remind you to like and subscribe.
Please do.
Do all those things. And go to the Pitches website. Nominate us.
Yes, nominate
for Best
us.
Podcast in Kansas City.
First Timers Movie Club, where it says Best Podcast.
Is that the name of our podcast, First Timers Movie Club?
It is.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's a good name. I like it.
It is a good name.
Yeah, don't change it.
Oh, thank you.
We'll keep it because
Amber approved. All right.
Yeah, if you haven't gotten tired of us talking yet, and you've listened to all the episodes, you can also head over to the Patreon, where there are a bunch of exclusive episodes, and we are going to keep doing those.
More coming soon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
I love you both.
I love you both. And our audience. I love you all.
And our audience, yes.
Be excellent to each other.
And party on, dude.
Nice.